welcome to the National Aquatic Centre here in Bukit Jalil in Kuala Lumpur. It's the 29th Southeast Asian Games and the first night of swimming competition from these games. Last held, of course, in 2001 in Kuala Lumpur, as the photographers are all out because there is a certain Olympic champion from Singapore to be photographed tonight, taking part in the final individual event of the day. Well, with his very own experience in swimming in this arena as well in 2001, it's only appropriate and very apt that we introduce our guest beside me tonight, Gerald Cole. Thank you very much for making it all the way down to Kuala Lumpur just to get involved in the festivities of the SEA Games.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me on board. Yeah, it's been a few years since I've been at this pool, right? It shows how old I am, but definitely very excited to be here watching the races, and hopefully we'll see some good times today.
Right, 2001 it was at this pool. Was that was that your last SEA Games that you swam in?
Yes, that was my last SEA Games. So a lot of fond memories from this pool that we're looking at right now.
Right, and your haul of I believe a silver and a couple of bronzes from individual races. And what is it like competing in an event like the SEA Games, where you're always meeting perhaps the same foes over and over again, you know, in a biennial event? How does it feel like?
It's strange because I mean, these people are obviously your rivals in the pool, but a lot of times outside the pool you become really good friends. Like now, you know, when I travel around Southeast Asia, when I go to Thailand, I meet up with a lot of the ex-swimmers. When I go to Indonesia, I meet up with the ex-swimmers. A lot of them are still doing masters swimming now, and they travel to Singapore. You know, we spend a lot of time, you know, catching up nowadays still as well. So.
And are you involved in the master swimming?
No, I'm not. I think I've spent enough time in the pool, so that maybe I'll keep it for a few more years' time.
Gerald, of course, was with us on MediaCorp Octo Sports the last time out as a studio guest, as we have a look at the flags being waved already. The Malaysians have their hopes up with Wilson Sim. Of course, he swims in the 400 meters freestyle, and he looked very comfortable and impressive in the heats this morning. The Philippines have got Roxanne Yu swimming this evening too, and we end off this evening with the relays, which should be very interesting. It's also very apt that we start with the 50 meters backstroke, because that was your specialty, wasn't it, Gerald?
Yes, it was. Although I wasn't much of a sprinter, but at my time there wasn't a 50-meter backstroke, so I took part in the 100 backstroke and the 200-meter backstroke. My event was more the longer event, so my specialty was the 200-meter backstroke, where I won that individual silver medal. I think in the SEA Games that was held in Singapore. It's very different, right? I mean, the first race that we're going to watch later on is the 50-meter backstroke, where anything can happen. It's a sprint and dash. You know, it'll be over in 25 seconds. Whether the swimmers get a good start is going to be extremely key. That stroke rate is going to be really, really fast. And what's amazing is they're underwaters. You see them doing the underwater kicks. It's going to be amazing how quick they're going to go.
And talking about quick, Joseph Schooling in action with the final individual race of the night, the 50 meters butterfly. What sort of form will Joseph be in? Will he be up for this in terms of his appetite for it? Because if he is, he'll be the first person, I'm pretty sure of that, to go below 23 seconds at the SEA Games, and maybe even go and attack that Asian record that he now holds.
I think so. I mean, he broke 23 seconds. He holds the Asian record at 22.94, I believe, 22.95. So he's the first Asian that's ever broken that. We'll see what happens. You never know. With a 50 meter again, with a good start, good underwater, he could very well break that 23-second mark.
Right, so the first event about to start, and that is the start list of the grand finals. Lane number 4, the hot favorite, Gede Siman Sudartawa of Indonesia. No one swam faster than him. In fact, he's 0.34 seconds faster than any Southeast Asian this year. Zheng Wen will have his hands filled in trying to retain the title he won in 2015.
He will, but I think from this morning's heats, all three of them, the top 3 qualifiers, were very, very close to one another, right? So again, it comes down to who has the best start. That's going to be key from what I think. From the underwaters as well, Zheng has got amazing underwater kicks, so that's where hopefully he comes out first. But I do know that the Indonesian swimmer has a very, very fast stroke rate. It's amazing how fast his hands can move, but at the same time still be able to catch water, right? A lot of times when your hands move that quickly, it's hard to maintain the water catch.
So here we go. The athletes come out, led by Tun Tien Han of Malaysia, who won his national championships with a new national record. Well, not the new national record, but a new personal best of 26.12, and he's gunning after Alex Lim's national record of 25.67 seconds. There he is to lead the field out. Just behind him, Singapore's very own Francis Fong, who did extremely well just last month at the Commonwealth Youth Games, in fact, clinching a bronze in this event. Couple of Vietnamese that we can watch out for as well, including the American Vietnamese just behind Sudartawa there, Paul Nguyen. He is probably the dark horse in this race. These swimmers very, very pensive, and it is so very difficult, of course, coming out as the first race of the day, the first gold medal to be given out in swimming at these SEA Games. Boy, do these swimmers, I don't know about you, Gerald, but these swimmers must be feeling some sort of nerves and butterflies in their stomach at the moment.
I'm feeling nervous right now watching this race, right? Brings back a lot of memories, but I think the first race is going to be extremely important, not just from a personal point of view, but from a team point of view too. I mean, if Zheng gets out there with a great swim, together with Francis, if they do well, you see the momentum really being carried over to the team, get the whole team excited, everyone's pumped up, and we're going to see a lot of quick swims from the different teams.
Tun Hyun introduced in lane number 1 from Johor, swimming for Malaysia. Francis Fong of Singapore, third already 3 times this year, not at GSC Commonwealth Youth Games, but also our national championships and our national age group champs. And here is the defending champion, Zheng Wen Quah, the national record holder. He's in lane number 3. He finished second in the national championships this year to this man, Gede Sudartawa, the only Southeast Asian to qualify for the semi-finals of the World Championships. Paul Nguyen swam at the World Championships as well, just 0.06 seconds behind Zheng Wen's time. He's got a personal best of 25.50, which he clocked in finishing 5th at the Asian Swim Champs. Tran Dui Khoi finished 4th at the last SEA Games. He's in lane number 6. Kasipat Chokratin of Thailand's in lane number 7. He was the bronze medalist at the last SEA Games with a national record of 25.78. And Ricky Anggawijaja of Indonesia, his personal best 26.39, which he set in Singapore at last year's ASEAN University Games. So it's all set for the battle royale of the 2011 champion that you see on screen now and the 2015 champion Zheng Wen Quah. This only the 3rd time that this event has been held at the SEA Games, and those 2 winners are in the field. In fact, 4 of the field competed in both 2011 and 2015.
Please be quiet prior to the start of every event.
Start absolutely necessary. It will be that amazing upper body strength of Gede Sudartawa against the undying, indefatigable spirit of Zheng Wen Quah, or will there be a shock from the Vietnamese Nguyen in lane number 5? Sudartawa's time this year was 25.04 seconds, and he is gunning his very best to become the first Southeast Asian to go below 25 seconds in this event. Zheng Wen has gotten off to a very good start, and he's stroke for stroke with Sudartawa at the moment in lane number 3. Sudartawa, though, just slightly ahead of Zheng Wen, and he is pulling away now. The Indonesian, the missile, is heading home. The Bali missile wants it badly. He wants to win back that title that he claimed in 2011, and he wins just ahead of Zheng Wen and Paul Nguyen of Vietnam in 3rd spot. So Gede Sudartawa, who was so disappointed at losing that title to Zheng Wen in 2015, has come out tops again for Indonesia's first gold medal at these SEA Games in swimming.
I think Zheng had a very, very good start, but you just looked at Sudartawa's stroke rate. It was so much quicker than Zheng Wen's. So I think he's built as a sprinter, a pure out 50-meter sprinter. But again, for the 100-meter backstroke, I think it's going to be a different ballgame. You're going to see Zheng really be able to use the second lap to catch up.
Well, this was the start we were talking about, Gerald, from Zheng Wen, and then from here on, around about to the halfway mark was when Sudartawa just took over and started propelling all the way home.
Exactly. So, I mean, his stroke rate is just so quick, and it's amazing, again, how he catches the water despite that quick stroke rate.
Well, he did say after the 2015 SEA Games that he probably took his eye off this event and the 100 meters backstroke a little bit, took it for granted that he's the best in this region. And because of that, he started hitting the waters again and training non-stop to ensure that he kept that streamline, worked on that streamline as much as possible. And his big aim, Sudartawa, is to win in front of his home fans. That he can do it next year at the Asian Games. That is what he is aiming for. Much bigger dreams. But right now, 25-20. He has lowered Zheng Wen's SEA Games record by 0.07 seconds. So a perfect start to day one, first race, and we've already got a SEA Games record to talk about. Francis Fong, 26.10 seconds. I believe it's just 0.02 seconds off his personal best time. And for Zheng Wen, it's another medal in his collection. That boy's got a lot of medals. He must be medal swimmer from the last SEA Games.
I'm sure he's a little bit disappointed though. I mean, given how much of a competitor he is, at the level that he competes at, anything less than a gold medal is going to be a disappointment for Zheng Wen.
The next event sees Zheng Wen's sister, Zheng Wen, who was the fastest qualifier from the heats this morning in lane number 4, and side by side with her in lane 5 is a little mermaid who's got the biggest lungs in Southeast Asia, Nguyen Vien. It will be Nicole To to lead them off. Nicole, of course, gave the crowd a lot of cheer about last year at the FINA World Cup at home. She finished in bronze medal position in this event, but that of course is short course swimming. She was 8th at the Asian Swimming Championships last year as well, so she's hoping to just sneak into medal contention in this race. But Nguyen Vien though will be a hard nut to crack for this event. She's just been winning the 200 meters butterfly, and not just winning but totally destroying the field. So here she is, Nicole To, in lane number 1. Azahira Pomatani of Indonesia in lane number 2. She was 3rd this year at the Singapore Swim Champs. The last and only time Indonesia won the gold medal was 1997 by Catherine Surya. Lemmy Tao of Vietnam, who was 6th in 2015, swims in lane number 3. And here is Zheng Wen, who was 2nd in this event at the Commonwealth Youth Games, and in the last couple of months has been regularly clocking times sub 2:13. Nguyen Vien of Vietnam in lane number 5, looking for Vietnam's 25th goal in swimming. Kitia Patrawadi, who's famous of course for breaking Tao Lee's hearts in 2013 when she stopped her streak. Adinda Rasati Dewi of Indonesia in lane number 7. She was 2nd at the Singapore Open earlier this year. Kanita Nimdam of Thailand, who was 2nd at the Singapore National Age Group Champs. Thailand have medaled in this event in 4 consecutive games, and she's hoping to continue that streak. That's the time set by Tian Vien, 2:11.12. My goodness, before that, in Southeast Asia, no one even went below 2:13, and she went 2:11.12. I can tell you that Zheng Wen's personal best is 2:12.95. This has got to be one of the most grueling races in swimming, Gerald.
Definitely, and this is a very different race from the one that we saw earlier. First, obviously, this is a 200-meter race, and it's a butterfly race, so they're going to have to really pace themselves out very well. Doesn't matter who's going to come out first in the first lap or second lap, because I think that the second half is going to be a very, very important part. But what I really liked was when Zheng Wen came out, she looked really comfortable, she was smiling, she looked like she was really enjoying the atmosphere, and she's off to a good start. You can see that she's turned first in this race.
Just 0.08 seconds above Tian Vien. Great underwaters though by the Vietnamese to inch just slightly ahead of Zheng Wen. That's the experience telling. When she won in 2015, she won by 3.38 seconds. That's the largest winning margin in the SEA Games since Junie Sung beat Mavis E by 4.09 seconds in 1983. So we all know that this lady is strong in every stroke, and she's slowly inching ahead of Zheng Wen. Is Zheng Wen going to time this right? Because this is not just about the body, but also the mind, and trying tactically to make sure you attack at the right time too.
Exactly. Amazing turn by Zheng Wen on that last turn. I mean, she turned after Vien Tien, but she came out after the underwater. She was ahead, and she's looking really good on this one.
She is.
I think she's going to win this race.
And she's taken a body length lead against Nguyen Vien now. Zheng Wen has chosen the perfect time to kick on, because from a 0.01 seconds deficit, she's made up 2.02 seconds in that 50-meter lap alone. and she is now way ahead of the Vietnamese missile, whom everybody thought was going to win at least 5 or 6 easily. Well, this race is going to be one-sided. The winner, though, is not exactly who we thought it was going to be. It's Zheng Wen, in just her second SEA Games and her first away games, winning Singapore's first gold medal in swimming at the 2017 Southeast Asian Games.
Amazing swim by Zheng Wen. She really took it out on the third lap. Typically in a 200-meter swim, a lot of times the third lap tends to be the slowest race, but that's where you can make the biggest difference. And I think this was a strategy that she put in place together with the coaches to really make a move on her third lap. And you can see that she really broke the Vietnamese girls' mindset on this race. I mean, the Vietnamese girl looked like she gave up on the last lap.
What a time to clock your PB at the SEA Games at the highest level against a swimmer that is one of Asia's premier 200 meters butterfly exponents, and she puts down a marker for these games because this is only her first of many events for Zheng Wen, and that, by the way, is Singapore's 305th gold medal ever at the SEA Games in swimming, and it comes from Zheng Wen. Where her brother just missed out, she was not going to miss out because this was going to be her time. Yes, Zheng Wen, you are #1 in Southeast Asia. You can boast that right now. And she slaps the field off just like that because that is a really dominant win.
Exactly, and she's only 17 years old this year, from what I believe, right? So she's got many more years ahead of her. I mean, just the whole Quah family, I think they've all done so well.
And look at that. Nguyen was so pumped out trying to chase Zheng Wen in the first 2 laps that she just ran out of gas for the final 100 meters, and she misses out on a podium. It's the first time in 3 games that Nguyen in an individual event has not even podiumed. So that's a huge surprise as her teammate Lertini Tao wins the silver medal, and Kitia Petrawadi wins again for the 4th games in a row. She wins a bronze medal. So a fantastic start today, #1. First 2 races gone by already. Sudartawa winning in the 50 meters backstroke, and then the 200 meters butterfly. A lot of people looking at Nguyen and what she was going to do at these games. Well, they might actually be looking at a new Iron Lady, and she's from Singapore this time in Zheng Wen. We all know that she's going to America, but that future must be so bright for Zheng Wen at the moment.
It is. I think with her moving there and having a team to train with, it's going to make a big part of a big difference in her, in the way she develops. Right, like I mentioned, she was only 17 years old. She's got a long way to go ahead of her, and to be training and competing against some of the best in the world. I mean, you look what her sister has done, what the brother has done. They've all done really well ever since they moved to the States, right? It's just a competition, a level of competition that's on a totally different level. So, we can expect a lot of good things from Zheng Wen in the coming years.
It's not going to be her only event because she is going to be taking part in the relays as well, the 4x100 meters relay, which will end tonight. And that is a Singapore quartet, I can tell you right now, that is going to be bookended by the Quah sisters, because it'll be Zheng Wen to start and Zheng Wen to finish off. And maybe a little tactical here as well, Gerald, because I've seen this before happen around the world, where someone has an event prior to the relays, they usually put that person as the final swimmer.
Exactly, but I think it just tells you how much faith the coaches have in Zheng Wen, that they're willing to give her the anchor spot, right? I mean, usually you tend to save the best, the most experienced swimmer for the last one. But I think it's twofold. Other than having putting their faith in Zheng Wen, but the second point as well, they want to give Zheng Wen as much rest as possible. So rather than her having to go first, she goes last. She gets a couple more minutes, 3-4 minutes rest, and that can be a big difference in a race like this.
Absolutely right. That race is coming up, but first it's the men's 400 meters freestyle, the longest of our races today, and this is where the Malaysians, you will hear in a while, they're going to go nuts because the Sarawak sub is going to make his appearance. Wilson Wee, this boy has just been getting stronger and better since his SEA Games win in Singapore in 2015. Singapore's hopes go with Pang Sheng Jun, who last year won in the ASEAN University Games. There he is, just to the right of your screen.
Wilson has done really well this year. I think this is his race to lose. But if he's in as good a form as he's been all year, I think he's going to really take it out. It's not going to be a close contest. But again, with the SEA Games, with the pressure, with the home crowd, it's how he picks in all the atmosphere and makes it either to his advantage or he crumbles under pressure. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is really his race to lose.
Well, he has been in that sort of form, not just this year, but for the last couple of years. Wilson Sim was the fastest qualifier this morning, the only one to dip below 3:59. Putra Randab, Indonesia, swims in lane number 1 for all 3:30, the qualifying mark. Tanakrit Kitia of Thailand, who was first in this event at the 2015 Asian Age Group Champs 2 years ago. Pang Shengjun of Singapore doesn't have an individual gold medal yet, just a silver and a bronze. He's in 3. Here are the cheers of the defending champion, Wilson Sim. The last person to win 2 in a row in this event was Tolap Setsaton back in 1997. He is trying to end that 20-year streak. Afla Prawira of Indonesia has clocked very impressive times, including a national record this year. Nguyen Kim Son. Watch for this boy when it comes for the 1,500 meters freestyle race. Defending silver medalist Jessie Kung Lacuna swims in lane number 7, and Malaysia's Yap Zheng Yang, who was second to Wilson at the national championships from Selangor, he is in lane number 8. There is the SEA Games record, 3:53.97. I can tell you that Wilson this year has gone below 3:50 already. He's the only Southeast Asian to go below that 3:50 mark. Afla and gang will have their hands filled. Afla's national record 3:55.38, which he clocked, finishing second at the Islamic Solidarity Games just a couple of months ago. Well, Gerald, this is one of those races where you can say the words, the battle is on for silver.
I would say so. I think so. It'll be interesting to see what kind of strategy Wilson goes out with. But he looks like he's taking it out. A lot of times, typically you might see for the 400 meters, swimmers who are swimming to win, they typically hold back and they wait for the last 100 before they make their move. But obviously, I think from this first 50, you can see that Wilson's going out there. He wants to break the record, do a best time.
Well, his personal best this year and national record 3:49.48, which he clocked in Monte Carlo. He won that event and actually beats the Olympic champion Mac Horton in winning that event. So it's also with a crowd behind you, you're so pumped up. The moment you get into the pool, all you want to do is just kick on. And that he has done because he's already taken a 1.40 seconds lead. That's a huge lead for just a quarter of a 400-meter freestyle race.
It is. You don't see many swimmers do this in a 400 meter, taking it out hard. But obviously, I think he's had the training. He knows how to execute his race. So, I don't think it's a case of him, going out too hard. So we'll see how he does in the next few laps. But I think he's looking very, very good, looking very strong. Doesn't look like he's going out too fast at this point.
You usually don't see much splashes from the legs around about this point in events like this, but already with Wilson, he's engaging his legs very early on. He's slated for 3 events at the SEA Games, the 200, 400 and 1500 meters freestyle, and this boy has looked in supreme form. Because after the SEA Games, what he did was just to qualify for the Olympic Games in a qualifying time. He went there, clocked a personal best time, and then this year, those times just got lower and lower, culminating with that 3:49.48 that he clocked in Monte Carlo.
Yes, he did. I mean, look at Zheng Jin. I hope Zheng Jin comes back. Zheng Jin is swimming in lane 3. I mean, he's typically known for coming back faster in the second half. Negative split his races. So, I mean, he hasn't. Hopefully, we see that in the second half of this race because he hasn't gone out that quick in the first half so far.
Wilson is swimming against the clock. The rest of them are swimming for the silver medal because there's no touching the Malaysian, who's extended his lead to 2.45 seconds now over Nguyen and Prawira, and then Shengjun turns in 4th spot. Pang Shengjun trying to stay in the map of relevancy in this race, which is totally dominated by Malaysia's Wilson Sim. He won the Singapore National Age Group Champs by 3 seconds. He won the Malaysian Open by 4 seconds. And if he swims true to form, he might be winning this by that same amount of margin too as he goes into the final 100 meters.
Wilson looks like he's struggling a little bit. I mean, going into that wall, you know, we've always been taught as swimmers never to breathe too many times going into the wall, and we saw that he was breathing almost every single stroke for 3 strokes going into the wall, out of the wall. The first 3 strokes as well, he took a breath at every single stroke. So, you know, I think he's feeling the pain a little bit right now, but he's still looking extremely strong.
Yeah, it's all the adrenaline, isn't it, for the first 100 meters, and now it's slowly catching up, but he's built an almost unassailable lead. And look at Peng Shengjun coming back as well for silver medal, because that was a superb turn for him, and he's turning on the afterburners in the final 50 meters just to try to clinch silver. But it will be Malaysia's first gold medal in swimming at these games. Wilson Sim will clinch gold. There's a magnificent battle going on, almost stroke for silver medal. The time is 3:50.26. He fails to crack the 3:50 mark, but it's a new SEA Games record. And I think Afla of Indonesia finishes in second spot. Nguyen Kim Son will be a real big name to watch out for over the years in Southeast Asia, finishing just ahead of Peng Shengjun for third. But Wilson we expected this, and he has delivered for his home crowd, for Malaysia. A mighty quick time, and he has totally annihilated this field in the 400 meters freestyle.
Amazing swim by Wilson. I guess he's gotten that first goal for Malaysia. Hopefully, I mean, for the next few races, I think a 200 meter freestyle and a 1,005, we'll see how he does. But I think the 200 meter race is going to be extremely exciting.
Absolutely, Gerald. And I mean, in front of your home fans, we saw that at the 2014 Asian Games as well, you know, that Park Tae-won debacle when you were swimming in front of his home fans. It sometimes can be working against you because of all the adrenaline, and it's so good that you get the first race out of the way and you won it as well.
Exactly. I think it's so important that he's gotten that first goal. He's going to have a lot less pressure on the 200 and 1,005. But you know, knowing the person that Wilson is, you know, I think he's going to want to go out there and not just win races, but to try and break the SEA Games record as well. I know for the 1,005, I think he wants to break Jeffrey Ong's very long-standing national record.
That's the person who finishes third in this event, Nguyen Kim Son, will have a lot to say in terms of Wilson winning the triple. And maybe another Vietnamese, Wong Ki Phuoc, will have something to say as well with Wilson winning the 200 meters freestyle. But this boy is only, 21 years of age, so there's still a lot of good swimming left in him.
A lot of good swimming left. I mean, given at that age, right? I mean, you could see him maybe could come onto the world stage as well in the next Olympics.
Well, we certainly hope that. They've waited for a swimmer at least to qualify for the semi-finals of an Olympic Games since Alex Lim did so for them in 2004. They haven't had that for a long time now, Malaysia, but Wilson Sim has given them a lot of hope. And that, by the way, Wilson Sim's victory is 5 in a row that Malaysia have won this event. The last 4 games before this, all won by a Malaysian swimmer. And it's the longest streak since Singapore won it from 1965 to 1973. But the way that he is going, he probably would make it 6 in a row for Malaysia at the next SEA Games in the Philippines. The Malaysians just know how to produce these long-distance swimmers, don't they?
They do. I mean, he didn't look too tired as well. After the race, so it looked like he was having a good time, enjoyed himself a lot. I was just looking at that finals list, and a pity that Peng Shengjun came in fourth. He just missed a medal. I mean, he was in lane 3, whereas there was another battle that was going on in lane 5 and lane 6. So I don't know if he could see them. I think he probably could see them, but he wasn't in the right lane to be able to really go head-to-head with the other 2 swimmers.
Right, so we've had 3 races and 3 very exciting ones. A goal each for Indonesia, Singapore and Malaysia. And we still have the 100 meters backstroke, 50 meters butterfly, and the 4x100 meters relay for women still to come. the Bukit Jalil Aquatic Center. It is pretty loud, and it's turned into a real furnace as Singapore have extended on their golden harvest at the pool. They've rippled gold through water polo and then the synchronized swimming, and today a new star born in Quah, Zheng Wen. So a recap on the races that we've seen so far. Gede, Siman Sudartawa winning gold for Indonesia in the 50 meters backstroke, just ahead of Quah Zheng Wen. And then Quah Zheng Wen made up for family disappointment by winning in the 200 meters butterfly. And in super quick time as well, she was at least 2 body lengths ahead of her nearest rivals. Nguyen, who was a hot favorite going into the race, failed to even get a placing on the podium. And the race that all of Malaysia were waiting for went to plan as Wilson Sim clinched gold medal in the 400 meters freestyle. Pang Shengjin just missing out on a place on the podium. So the 100 meters backstroke for women still to come, with Quah Zheng Wen being taken out of that event early this morning for her to concentrate on the relays. And of course 50 meters butterfly, Joe Schooling will be involved. He was in cruise control and in gear number 0.5, not even 1 during the heats, and still he won it. So he might be there trying to become the first ever swimmer to break an Asian record in a Southeast Asian game event. And of course the 4x100 meters freestyle, where Singapore will start as hot favorites. Gerald, was the atmosphere like this as well in 2001?
Yes, it was. I mean, I think the atmosphere in Malaysia is always amazing. You know, they tend to be a little bit more rowdy, but generally when it's rowdy, it makes it a lot more fun for swimmers. I mean, we don't get to compete in many races where there's a huge audience, so anytime you get to do this at a SEA Games, you know, it naturally just gets you pumped up. I mean, you're so ready to go. You train over 2 years for this race. You walk out there, you hear the crowd, you get your name called out. You know, you forget everything. And once you hit the water, right, you don't hear. I mean, for me, you don't even hear the audience screaming. You don't hear anything. You're just concentrating on your own race. You know, you spend so much time and effort into it. You're just in your own zone.
Are you surprised as well at the 100 meters backstroke that Quah Zheng Wen didn't start, because she was the fastest swimmer in Southeast Asia this year in that event, and she didn't start this morning in the heats, with the coach deciding to save her for the relays. Are you surprised by that decision?
Yes, absolutely, I am. I was very surprised, and I didn't even know that she was pulled out of the race until we spoke about this earlier. But obviously, I guess that goes to show how important the relay is. They have her leading off the relay, so that's going to be extremely important for her to go out there and get the Singapore team into a lead, right? Especially with her sister, with 2 more junior swimmers finishing up 3rd place and 4th position in the relay, so they really want to build out that lead with the top 2 swimmers going 1st and 2nd.
If they're afraid that she gets tired, I can tell you that the word tired doesn't exist in the Quah encyclopedia. That family, I mean, all the siblings, we're talking about Ting Wen, Zheng Wen and Jing Wen, they're all almost born with extra lungs, aren't they?
Amazing, amazing. I think that family is what we call their very good water feel. It's not something that you can coach. It's not something that you can learn. It's just naturally as a talent, right? How you catch the water and how you feel the water. I mean, you can just tell with that family, they've all been so talented from young. They've done so well. I mean, their strokes are so efficient. The way their body position is in the water, their kick, their starts, everything is just top notch. And a lot of it is not really having to coach them, but it comes to them naturally.
Well, Joseph Schooling, of course, swims in the 50 meters butterfly. Is there anything to say about Joseph that hasn't been said already, as we have a look at the first victory ceremony of the night, and it comes in this race of the 50 meters backstroke. Sudartawa winning it just ahead of Zheng Wen and Nguyen of Vietnam. So he reclaims the crown that he lost in 2015. He was and has been the top backstroke sprinter in Southeast Asia this decade. Gede, Siman, Sudartawa. Back on Joseph, because the 50 meters butterfly race is coming up in a while. Gerald, with Joseph Schooling, I mean, it's that win at the Olympics, not just for Singapore, but for all of Southeast Asia as well, because we're looking at the SEA Games and everybody is just turning around and saying, hey, in swimming now, we can actually have, and we actually are going to witness a world-class swimmer.
Exactly. I mean, when was the last time? We've never been able to say that, right? I think the most that we've had a Southeast Asian swimmer do well is at the Asian Games level. So, I mean, Zhou has done something that no other Southeast Asian swimmer has been able to achieve. So it's been amazing. I know he didn't do as well at the World Champions recently, but you know, like we were discussing earlier, I say it doesn't matter. I mean, he's got an Olympic champion. He was an Olympic champion last year. He needed to take that time off. I mean, he's basically trained so hard for 4 years, 5 years, maybe even longer than that, right? Leading up to the race last year, he deserved that 6 months break or however long break he took. So I mean, I think while he's definitely disappointed by not doing as well as he would have liked at World Championships, Zhou's a fighter. I mean, you know he's going to come back. He's going to do well, you know, over the next coming years as well.
He already, in his fledgling swimming career, has 11 gold medals, individual gold medals. That puts him second on the all-time list in terms of the Singapore men, just behind Tan Tuan Heng, who's got 15. So he's only penciled in for 3 here. He will not catch Tuan Heng in these SEA Games, but he can catch a certain Ratapong Srisanot, who was one of your rivals during the 1990s as well, and he has that opportunity because Ratapong has got 14, so Zhou has that opportunity to go into second on the all-time list of gold medal male winners in the history of the SEA Games if he wins all 3 of his individual events, and that'll be some feat as well.
It would be. I mean, obviously Zhou can swim a lot more races, he can win a lot more races, but I think it goes into what the Swimming Association is thinking in terms of building up the next generation of swimmers, right? Zhou and Zheng Wen have already reached the next level. I mean, they're so competitive on the Asian level, they're competitive on the world stage. This is the Southeast Asian level. You know, we're going to need to start bringing up younger swimmers, and that's why you have Zhou and Zheng swimming a lot less events this time. They're still taking part in the relays because we need their experience in the relays, but in the individual events, they are letting the next younger group of swimmers come up and take their place. So again, it shows you know, a longer term view in terms of what the Swimming Association is thinking, and also obviously that they have the faith that the younger group of swimmers coming up, you know, are capable in their own rights to be able to be competitive on this stage.
Yeah, but how would you match that, Gerald, vis-a-vis the public's expectations? Because I mean, at 2015, you're talking about a team that won, what, 23 gold medals, you know, their most ever gold medals, the most medals ever at a single SEA Games. So the public expectations are, Zhou is still there, Zheng Wen is still there, obviously we're going to win another 23, you know?
Exactly. It's a very fine line that the association needs to draw, right? I mean, we know Gary who's the national A coach, and I've talked to him about this. I think there's no better stage than to get your younger swimmers getting used to competing at such a senior level than the SEA Games, right? You do not want them going to the Asian Games and being overwhelmed by the audience, by the competition. So we need to start somewhere, and yes, obviously the coaches feel that the younger group of swimmers are strong enough to hold their own in this space, right, in the Southeast Asian space, and that's why they've decided to give them a chance. They've obviously done well enough, trained well enough that, you know, the coaches have faith in them.
Well, these are the parts that usually take a long time, gathering the medalists for the victory ceremony, which is just about to take place. I believe they'll do a couple, and we'll see Zheng Wen for the very first time on top of the podium, and I'm sure she'll be enjoying every moment of it. Not just her, but Zheng Wen, I'm sure, will be staying behind after receiving his medal, just to take pictures of a glorious moment once again for the Quah family. And with that as well, you know, Zheng Wen winning a gold medal in the individual races. I know Ting Wen, the sister, has got a total of what, 4 individual gold medals, and then that one by Zheng Wen, and I believe Zheng Wen has got well, he's got plenty. That's what I can tell you at the moment. 7, I believe. So 7, 4, 1. 12 gold medals, 12 individual gold medals for the Quah family already.
Amazing. This today might be the first time that we see 3 siblings participating in the same sport and getting a medal on the same day. I mean, if the women's relay comes out and they win a medal, a gold.
So we're still waiting for the victory ceremony, which we'll see Zheng Wen winning another medal. 16th individual medal, so he's got 6. Zheng Wen's got 4, and now Zheng Wen joins in as well.
The first of many.
Yeah, the currency in the Quah family is gold. So we're still waiting for the arrival of the medalists for the victory ceremony. Vietnamese have got a new generation of swimmers as well. And Paul Nguyen is just one of them, Vietnamese American, who will receive his medal in a while, and that'll happen when we come back, that's for sure. We are back and we are still waiting for the medalists for the first victory ceremony of the night, and that is the 50 meters backstroke for men, which was won by Gede Sudartawa of Indonesia, reclaiming the crown that he won in 2011 from Zheng Wen, who finished in 2nd spot. Are you surprised by that result, Jarrell?
A little bit, but in the 50-meter backstroke, I mean, the timings are all quite close, and it can go in any direction, right? I mean, given it's a 50-meter race, every little thing counts. Your start, you slip a little bit, your underwater cake, you miss one cake, you move off the line, you don't swim in a straight line, because in the backstroke it's a little bit hard to swim in a straight line. You go a little bit off course. Every little thing adds up. Let's say even on your touch, right? Again, because you don't see the wall, you're swimming back, you have to count your strokes from the flagpole onwards. So every little thing counts, and any small mistake can play a big part. So I'm sure Zheng is very disappointed, but this is his 3rd big meet of the year, third big competition for the year. So he's naturally a little bit tired. I mean, most swimmers would taper for in a year is twice. But this is his 3rd race, right? I mean, 3rd big competition in a year, in less than a year. So naturally he's a little bit tired. It's very hard to train, taper, and he recently went for World Championship together with Joe, where again he had a couple of national records. So I'm sure he's disappointed, but we can't really fault him, I think, in this case.
Yeah, absolutely right. He had that big move to the USA as well, and that takes a lot out of you, taking yourself out of the comfort zone into a whole new country altogether. And sometimes that does play tricks with you in terms of your form and your conditioning too.
Absolutely. I mean, not just that, but getting used to the weather, new environment, new coach, new teammates, and nutrition as well, right? I mean, after training, you get up your parents and all that to get you your meals, you have to cook. So everything plays a very, very big part. And obviously starting school as well. He's going to UC Berkeley. It's obviously a very good school. I think it's double majoring in a couple of topics, so it's not easy with that move to the US. And not just that, but in the US they train in yards as well, not meters. So that's another very big difference, right? Instead of 50 meters, they're doing 25 yards. So obviously, Zheng's starts, his turns would definitely improve training in the shorter pool, but in the longer 50-meter pool, then that's where you might see his stamina not be as strong, right? Because he's training in a smaller pool. But I know Zheng has been back in Singapore for a few months since the holiday break, so he's been trying to get used back to the 50-meter pool. But then again, going from 25 yards, 50-meter pool, 25 yards, 50-meter pool, that can also have an impact in terms of his performance.
He is slated for other events. It's not just this. He'll be in action tomorrow in the 200 meters butterfly, and that's an event that he has been training so hard for over the years, over the last couple of years. In fact, it's almost become his pet event these days. And then let's not forget to the 100 meters backstroke, where he has an early chance for revenge against Gede Sudartawa. So Sudartawa continues his medal streak. It's another one for the Bali missile. And with this gold medal, he overtakes Sukriyad Urmandi for 4th on the all-time list of Indonesian male gold medal winners.
And Cultural Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. The mascot and seedling will be presented by His Excellency Mr. Imam Nahrawi, Minister of Youth and Sports, Republic of Indonesia.
So one to watch out for in the next couple of years at the SEA Games is certainly
Bronze
Paul
medalist
Nguyen
from
of Vietnam. A Vietnamese American,
represented by Nguyen
a new national record last year of 25.50 seconds. Couldn't replicate that. All the time he swam at the World Championships of 25.64, but good enough for the bronze medal at the Southeast Asian Games. Still has the 50 meters butterfly to come. And I'm sure he'll be up for it. An out-and-out sprinter. He's almost slated for every 50 event in these games except the breaststroke.
Singapore.
Another medal for Zheng Wen
with a time of 25.39 seconds.
His 16th medal, and that puts him alongside a certain David Lim with 16 individual medals at the SEA Games, second on the all-time list in terms of medals won in individual events for Singapore male swimmers.
From Indonesia,
the crown is back
represented by
Gede Siman Sudartawa. Indonesia's flag bearer flies the flag high with the first race of the 2017 Southeast Asian Games, and he did it with some great upper body work from the 25-meter mark onwards. And after a disappointing 2015 SEA Games where they won only one gold medal, Indonesia at least gotten off to the start that they so desire here in Kuala Lumpur. Thanks to that man again, Gede Siman Sudartawa
of Indonesia.
a golden moment for Gede Sudartawa. A moment he missed out sorely on in 2015, where Zheng Wen won every backstroke event. Well, he's taken one back and he still has another to compete against Zheng Wen at these games.
Congratulations.
Well, what about this guy, Gede Sudartawa? Gerald, as I said, his bigger fish he wants to fry is that Asian Games gold medal, which will be held in Jakarta. He wants to win it in front of his home crowd because he knows it's going to be rip-roaring back home. As I said earlier on, he was so disappointed after 2015. All he wanted to do was work on his streamlines. He just felt that his streamline was a little bit off. And so he went his coaches to work just like the Japanese do, to work on their streamlines and make sure that his body kept still while his hands were propelling away.
Exactly. I guess in backstroke that's so important, right? Your body needs to be, your core needs to be strong, it needs to be stiff, while your hands and legs are very flexible. So it's somewhat like a very balanced approach. I hope he does well at the next Asian Games. It's going to be really, really tough because he's going to be competing against not just the best in Asia, but the best in Asia so happens to be the best in the world.
Yep.
Recently we saw the Chinese guy, he won the gold medal in the 100-meter backstroke at the World Champs, right? So, and we know that the Japanese are traditionally always very, very strong in the backstroke events as well. So in order for him to be the best in Asia, he needs to be the best in the world. Now I think he'll probably make it to the finals, but to get a medal, I think that's going to be extremely tough. But you never know again, right? I mean, obviously, he's been disappointed before. He's done really well. He's trained really hard. And if he continues to train the way that he has, we could see a surprise.
Absolutely. The last 2 years, as I said, he just took his anger out all in the pool. I hate to be amongst the pool venues in Bali because he was a really angry guy for the last couple of years, Sudartawa. And that training has paid dividends at these SEA Games, and not just at these SEA Games as well, because at the World Championships, I mean, to clock that time of 25.04 seconds, that is a very, very quick time. And he did not just go into the semi-finals, he created a new national record, and he wasn't the last place finisher in the semi-finals of the World Championships as well. He was actually, I think second or third from bottom, but 25.04 at probably the biggest meet of your life, to be able to do that must be something really astounding on this guy.
Very, very quick time. And I think he even surprised himself, right? He surprised, I know, a lot of people in the Indonesian swim team when he made that semi-finals. So I guess that shows the amount of hard work that he's put in there.
We have a look at the replay again. Well, we're not going to see it, but it was a very good start and wonderful breakout from Zheng Wen. And we thought that race was there to be won, but from the 25-meter onward, you could see already this boy, he's just built for sprints, isn't he? Gede Sudartawa, that huge upper body strength, that tiny torso, upper body strength, and he used it to great effect for that gold medal. Does that height situation where he's not the tallest of people play a big part in terms of world-class swimming for backstroke?
I think it does. If you look at the US, they've naturally had a lot of good backstrokers.
Matt Gravers, right?
I mean, look at he's like he's a giant basically.
7'9".
Ryan Murphy, who was the last Olympian, who won the last Olympics, also he's very tall. The Chinese swimmer who won recently is very tall as well. So I think because you use a lot of your core, the way your hands pull under the water, you need to be tall in this event, I think. But one thing again, in the 50 meters, a little bit different because not many people can move their hands as quickly as Sudartawa can do, right? His hands move very quickly. So maybe in a 50 meter, he can still get away without being that tall. But I think in the 100 and the 200 meters, that's when you start using your core, you need to rotate through the water. That's where your height does come in and play a difference.
Well, he has been clocking crazy quick times in the 100 meters backstroke as well. It just sets up for a wonderful race between him and Zheng Wen all over again in the 100 meters back, which will happen in a couple of days' time. But for today, Zheng Wen will play second fiddle to his sister, and he'll be more than happy to play second fiddle to Zheng Wen. She'll always look back at this race, the 200 meters butterfly. I remember back in 2011, when I was calling on Joe Schooling in the 200 meters butterfly, and he qualified for the Olympic Games in Palembang. The words were, "A star is born," and you can say the same again for this lady in the same event, the 200 meters butterfly. Zheng Wen, a new star in women's swimming in Singapore certainly was born here in KL.
Exactly. I mean, I really like, this is only her second SEA Games. She didn't, obviously she was 15 years old at the last SEA Games. I think she wasn't expected to medal, but when she walked out for a race, she looked so confident. She looked like she was having a good time. She was smiling. She was waving at the crowd. So I just like the way that she's doing it right now, right? I can obviously tell she's having such a good time, and that's not something that you can really be trained, right? You just basically go out there, be confident, make sure you have fun. You know you're putting in all the hard work. Now it's just the time to execute the plan that you and your coaches have come up with.
Well, there she is, right in the middle of the medalists, where she always dreamt of being. And she's always said throughout her life that her barometer has been her sister Quah Ting Wen, what she's been achieving. And after a while, she decided, no, that's not going to be my barometer. I've got to be my own lady if I'm going to race against the world-class swimmers. And she has certainly broken out of that shell. And tonight is the night where she can safely say, I am my own lady, because she has won gold in an event where her sister came in second in the past 2 editions.
She has the chance to be a double gold medalist today.
Absolutely, absolutely right. Patharawadi with the bronze medal yet again in this event. The lady who broke Tauli's 4-win streak sequence in 2013. National record holder. In fact, 2015 was the first time in 4 games she did not podium, but she's not going to make it 2 in a row because she does make it on the podium at the expense of Nguyen Vien.
Silver medalist from Vietnam.
Well, there is a Vietnamese on the podium, not the one we expected though. Le Thi Mi Thao with the silver medal.
You could be seeing a next generation of swimmers, young swimmers coming out from Vietnam as well again, right similar to what you're seeing in Singapore.
Absolutely right. You just need one there to give you the aspiration, and Nguyen Vien has been a real inspiration to all Vietnamese female swimmers.
And SEA Games champion from Singapore, represented by Quah Ting Wen.
She'll remember that announcement for a long, long time to come. Well, as I said at the last SEA Games, before Nguyen Vien's insane swim of 2:11.12, no one at the SEA Games has gone below 2:13, but now in 2 editions we've had 2, and we're glad the second one to do that is a Singaporean, and that person, that lady, is Quah Ting Wen. Moment for Quah Ting Wen as she holds back her tears of joy to the national anthem of Singapore. Minister Grace Fu is there as well, along with Lee Kok Choi, President of the Swimming Association, and he doesn't mind making the trip up again and again just to present gold medals for Singapore swimmers. But this was a very, very welcome gold medal, wasn't it, Gerald? Because I think a lot of people were keeping their eye out on Tian Nguyen, and Zheng Wen just judged this race to perfection.
Exactly. I think everyone thought this was again Vientiane's Tian's race to lose, right? Given how dominant she has been in this race and in a lot of other races as well. I mean, she's obviously a lot more experienced than Zheng Wen. I mean, Zheng Wen was an outside smoke, outside consideration for this event. I mean, when we were talking to Gary Tan, who's the national head coach this morning, he wasn't expecting, I mean, he was hoping that Zheng might win this race, but he wasn't as confident that she would do it, right? But I think she executed her race perfectly. She took the first 100 out very quickly. Vientiane followed her, and obviously on the third 50, that's when most swimmers tend to hold back a little bit of their energy, is the third lap before they sprint the last lap again. But Zheng Wen just continued with her momentum on the third lap and just totally brought Vientiane out of a game, right? And the last 50, I mean, she was so far ahead that no one could catch Zheng Wen.
Oh, with Nguyen Vientiane, I don't know about this, but maybe you can check with your good friend Gary about this. If he had seen the heats this morning, and I was talking to you about it, in the 100 meters backstroke, Vientiane actually looked pretty tired in the final 25 meters of that race, where she just drifted out a little bit after leading for most of that. I know it's the heats only, but she really just looked very, very tired coming home. And recently at the World Championships as well, she was complaining of a little bit of a virus, so maybe she isn't in the best of conditions coming into these SEA Games. And if Gary had seen that at the 100 meters backstroke, perhaps that's a ploy and the plan for Zheng Wen to say, hey, go out, let her chase after you.
Exactly. I think the plan was to go out, attack it, let her try and follow you if she can, knowing that she would probably suffer in the second half of the race, right? So, and you saw Zheng really take it out the first 2 laps of the race. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next race, though, the 100 meter backstroke, where Antian is again in that event, right?
Yep. But you have to give credit to Zheng Wen as well, because after 100 she took it out as much as she could, and Tian Nguyen was still with her, in fact leading after 100 by 0.01 seconds. Instead of just dropping her head, Zheng Wen actually made perhaps the best of those turns at that 100 meter mark.
She did. I mean, she had such an amazing turn. So obviously Vientiane touched first at the 100 meter, but on that second turn, after the underwater kicks, you saw Zheng was way ahead of Tian Nguyen, right? And she really just continued on using her momentum, bringing just not letting her foot off the pedal on that third lap. And I think that's when you really saw Vientiane really, I think she might have given up on that third 50 as well.
And probably saving herself for the 100 meters backstroke, which is uncharted territory for her, as we have a look at this swim once again from Zheng Wen. And what a celebration it was too for Zheng Wen. The moment it touched the wall, she looked up. She should have known already heading into the final 25 meters, but she was taking nothing for granted. And that wonderful emotion-filled face, at least she was trying to hold it back. She really was trying to hold it back, but it was a special, special moment for the Quah family, especially for first-time gold medalist Zheng Wen. So the victory ceremonies done and dusted, at least the first lot of them. The Malaysians just can't wait for Negara Ku to ring out thanks to Wilson Sim. That victory ceremony will happen after the next couple of races, which is the 100 meters backstroke for women and the 50 meters butterfly for men. We talked about it, Gerald, how Tian Nguyen is going to react and how she is going to feel coming at the 100 meters backstroke. And maybe she must be thinking, the race is lost for the butterfly, and probably just held back a little bit to save herself for the backstroke. You never know. Possibly,
yeah. I mean, you never know again, right? So obviously, I think she qualified first this morning in the 100 meter backstroke. We have our Eun Chi who came in second. So I think it's going to be a very tight race. I was looking through their best times. It looked like from second to 6th, 7th place, a lot of them are very, very close. So this really could be anyone's race. But you would also think, not from a physical point of view, but from a psychological point of view as well, how Vientiane is thinking about it right now. Has she given up? Does she not feel well? Is she sick? Like you mentioned, right, she was sick recently. She had a virus at the World Champs, which happened recently. So maybe that has an impact with what she's doing. But I think from a mental point of view, a lot of times all the work has already been done from a physical point of view. On the day of the race itself, it's 90% mental. It's how strong you are up there in your head.
And also how much of her training over the last 4 years, because she is one of the hardest workers in terms of training in the pool. It's taken its toll on her come these games. We would never know, but it certainly was a shock with her not even podiuming on the 200 meters butterfly. She has a chance though now in the 100 meters backstroke to make up for it, as the swimmers are led out by Phiangkwan Palpatako of Thailand, who was third at the Asian Age Group Champs in 2015 back home in Bangkok. And she too, usually a breaststroke swimmer, trying her hand at the backstroke for the very first time at these SEA Games. Defending champions not here, Tao Li. She won this event for a record 6 in a row, the most in this event. Only 2 Singaporeans have won this event, Tao Li and Patricia Chan. And in the last 11 editions, only Singapore and Thailand have won the gold medal. Singapore, though, have never won it when the games were held in KL, so Hong Eun-chi has got chance to make history. Nurul Fajar Fitriati of Indonesia swims in lane number 2. She was 5th at the 2013 SEA Games in this event. Yesi Yosaputra, 3rd at the Singapore Nationals. We haven't had an Indonesian winner in this event since 1979. Nanik Sawaji winning 2 in a row then. Nguyen Vien. Let's see if the scars of the 200 meters butterfly race will be erased. Hong Eun-chi of Singapore, who won the Singapore Nationals with a time of 1:04.57. And then Roxanne Yu of the Philippines, who was 3rd in this event in 2015, the 2nd fastest Filipina ever. She's in lane 6. Araya Wongwat, the last Thai to win this was Chonnathorn Vorathomrong, who won 4 in a row right up to 2003. And Caroline Chan of Malaysia, the last Malaysian to medal, 2009, Tree Lai Kwan. The last Malaysian winner in this event was 1981, Helen Chow. So she's got a little bit of history to chase as well. All set and ready to go. The fastest in Southeast Asia this year, Quah Ting Wen's not in the field. So Nurul Fitriati will fancy her chances along with Nguyen Vien. Tian Vien, remember, is in lane number 4, and Hong Eun-chi of Singapore is in lane number 5. Do look out as well for the very fast Indonesians in 2 and 3 in Fitriati and Yosaputra. And straight away it is lane number 4, Tian Vien, who's got off to a storming start and a perfect breakout.
Exactly, she's obviously got very good underwaters, and she made use of that, made use of the 15 meters that's allowed in this race. She went underwater all the way. Eun-chi looked like she was a little bit deep in that dive, but I mean, obviously she came up as well.
So Tian Vien, as we expect, turning first after 50 meters. He's won so many events at the SEA Games, but never this one. She's a 2-time silver medalist, including a heartbreaking one in 2013 when she thought that Tao Li actually went past the allotted distance before she surfaced, only to be denied that gold medal. She settled for silver back in 2013 and 2011, but she is way ahead of the rest of the field, and she is going to take gold for the very first time in the 100 meters backstroke. This will be the dozen for her 12th gold medal and Vietnam's 25th gold medal at the Games. She turns in first, Fitriati of Indonesia in 2nd, and Palpatako of Thailand in 3rd spot.
I'm sure she's very happy to make up for the earlier event, right? I'm actually surprised by how quick she swam in this race, so she looks like she's a little bit relieved.
Hong Eun-chi, after coming out very strong, I guess she was chasing after Vientiane, just gassed out a little bit in the final 25 meters and couldn't keep up with the medalist. Well, this has certainly made up, but that was a perfect breakout, wasn't it, from Nguyen Vientiane? The moment she kicked off the wall, you knew.
She was in the lead right from the start, right? So obviously, I mean, similar to what you'll see with, for example, Zheng Wen or Joe Schooling, where their underwater is extremely strong. You see the swimmers really make use of that. Those who have good underwater kicks, they typically go all the way up 15 meters and make the best use of that allowable range.
Well, as I said, that's the dozen for her. Her 12th gold medal at the Games, all individual gold medals, and her 19th medal. And that hurt a little bit because of what went on previously.
I'm surprised to see her so emotional, given how many gold medals she's won, right? This should be like a regular occurrence for her.
That's right.
It's a walk in the park, but I think she obviously, something went wrong in the first race.
Look at that as well. It's a SEA Games record. She's the first in Southeast Asia to go below 1:02, taking down Tao Li's 2011 record of 1:02.11. So All the races so far, except for the 200 meters butterfly, have already seen SEA Games records. And the next race, we are pretty sure we're going to see a new SEA Games record as well, because the Asian record holder is in the field. But for Nguyen Nguyen, it's pretty good news that she has won another individual gold medal. If only she had good enough teammates or even half of her talent, she might be winning more medals and more gold medals in the relays too. So that could be a real bummer sometimes.
I'm not sure she could take out more relays though, because she's swimming so many events at each meet, right?
Absolutely right. We're talking that's why we're saying that they're looking at her swimming 10. There he is, and the crowd. Let's see how the reception will be for Joe. Already the face has come out on the giant LED screen here, and there's a huge roar from the Malaysian audience. Certain things that he said recently, it's blown out of proportion in Malaysia, and it'll be interesting to see how the crowd react to Joseph Isaac Schooling.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the pool deck the finalists for event 105 50 meters butterfly men.
So here they come, the men's 50 meters butterfly event, which is swum for only the third time at the Southeast Asian Games. In the previous two editions, has only been one winner, and we expect him to make it 3 in a row. The only Southeast Asian to make it to the semi-finals and then the finals of the World Championships, in which he finished 5th. And all 3 times at the World Championships he dipped below 23 seconds. His SEA Games record is 23:49, and if he swims anywhere close to what he showed at the World Championships, that record is ghost. His competition is not just the clock, but 7 swimmers who want to tell their grandchildren that they beat an Olympic champion. That's what it is. You have a target board behind you.
I'm not sure if that's going to happen though, because I mean, looking at the times, Joe has broken 23 seconds. None of the other guys have broken even 24, right? So he's way ahead of everyone. Even when he swims the 100 meters, his first 50 is at 23.5. So he's just way ahead of everyone. I mean, Joe's start is amazing. I mean, his start, his underwater is just top notch, obviously, as we know.
Glenn Sutanto, silver medalist to Joe Schooling the last 2 times this event was held in 2011 and 15. Triadi Fauzi, who was 4th in 2015, he was 1st at the national championships in Singapore. And here comes the Asian record holder, a record he broke twice at the World Championships. Joseph Schooling, the Serpent has arrived in KL. Paul Nguyen, already a bronze medalist at these games. He swims in lane 5. Supakrit Pananuratana of Thailand is in lane number 6. He was 5th in this event in 2015. And then 2nd at the Commonwealth Youth Games. Dylan Koo of Singapore swims in lane number 7. Let's see if he can break his personal best of 24:68 that he set in the heats. Chantia of Malaysia, who was 4th at the National Age Group Champs, is in lane number 8. Those are the times to beat. We're not just looking at the SEA Games time, but also the Asian record. Can he become the first ever swimmer to set an Asian record at the SEA Games? There have been a lot of firsts in the book of Joseph. This might just be another. To let the legacy live. Lane number 4, all eyes are on you. There we go. We talked about how quick he is off the boards, perhaps a reaction time faster than anybody else, and he's already half a body length ahead of the rest of the field after a superb breakout. Joe Schooling is really going for it. It will be him versus the clock. The rest of them are fighting for second spots, but Joe Schooling will be looking at the clock right now. Can he crack the time of 22:93? This is going to be the most dominant win in a 50-meter race ever in the SEA Games. Almost there, 23:06. It's a new SEA Games record as we expect, but not the Asian record. But that is a dominant swim for a 50-meter race to win it by a body length. My goodness, this boy, really, really special. Another SEA Games goal. That in itself also the dozen for Joseph Isaac Schooling.
He doesn't even look tired at all after that race. But I mean, what an amazing underwater. I think his start is it's so special, but it's more his underwater kicks that he's really practiced that a lot. I mean, it's what he's known for, given that all the training he's done in the US, where he trained in yachts, short course yachts, that he's really honing on his skills in underwater.
That is a huge victory for a 50 meters butterfly race. No one came close to even sniffing the toenails of Joe Schooling as he just went through the motions, if you'd like. And that's a lovely gif for I'm the Man, isn't it? He is number one, not just in Southeast Asia, but we all know in the 100 meters butterfly in Asia and in the world. Another win for Schooling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
to add to his huge collection.
Official results for event 105, 50 meters butterfly men final.
And with the rates he's winning, look at that, it's almost a second, the difference. In a 50 meters event, mind you, Triadi Fauzi comes in second spot with a brand new national record, I believe, 24.01 seconds. Paul Nguyen of Vietnam in third position. And the rate he's winning gold medals and medals at these championships all around the world. Joe Schooling, his dad's got to buy a new cabinet and closet to keep those things in. Let's see if we can listen to Joe now.
You know, I'm just going to take it day by day. I feel pretty good. I'm happy to be back in Malaysia. I have a huge team supporting me. My family's over here, so I wanted to do my best. But tomorrow is the relay. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking past the next day. No, you know, I was expecting it to be positive. You know, we're here to have a good meet and to put on a good show. And I think, you know, the crowd wants to see that. And, you know, it's a Monday night, it's a working night, and for them to pack the stands and to come out here and support all of this, you know, that's amazing. So I'm very pleased with the reception, and, you know, I think we'll get better as the days go on. I'm excited for that.
What do you feel about victory in Malaysia, since your mother also from Malaysia, so the value of that their victory?
Yeah. I mean, I love my mom's. I love the woman I love the most in the world. My mom, and you know, she's from Malaysia, and I grew up coming to Malaysia, and you know, this is a special place to me, and so you know, I'm back in this port, and you know, just do my best, not only for myself but for my family and my friends that came out here to support me.
Joseph, back to Asia. How did you get the first win all the way then?
Yeah, no, it was definitely nice. A little nervous going in. You never know how it's going to be, and so for me, I felt pretty solid. I was happy with the way I felt, and so usually I feel better throughout the meet. And you know, hopefully I can keep the ball rolling.
Is this maybe a good springboard for the home games in Australia?
Yeah, that's too far away for right now. You know, like I said, I'm just focused on my event tomorrow, and Commonwealth Games will come next year when it does. But for right now, I'm just focusing on that 4x1 tomorrow night.
Last SEA Games, you and Nguyen from Vietnam get the best medal for the SEA Games. How do you think about the SEA Games this year?
Yeah, you know, everyone's gotten faster, really. So being able to come back and to win after a rough summer definitely means a lot to me. You know, in 2015, top 8 in the 50 fly was 28.5, and this year is 24.9. So that really speaks volumes about how fast someone's getting, not only around the world, but especially at the SEA Games. Thank you. Thanks.
So Joseph Schooling winning the 50 meters butterfly naturally and easily over the rest of the field. And remember, he's got 2 other individual events still to come, the 100 meters butterfly and the 100 meters freestyle. He is almost been taking it easy and almost not swimming the race that made him famous these days, Gerald, which is the 200 meters butterfly.
Yeah, I think Joseph has really, you know, honed his skills, the sprinting events, right? I think he's narrowing down to the shorter events rather than the longer ones. But as you mentioned earlier, I think the 200 meter butterfly is something that suits Zheng Wen a lot more right now, given his body type. So, you know, I think that they've each one taken the 100 meter butterfly and another one taken the 200 meter butterfly. Absolutely right.
I mean, I was just talking about talking to him, I think, at the last SEA Games as well, and he was just talking about the fact that, you know, the weights that he's been doing, the body mass that we saw him as a scrawny little kid winning that 2011 race, and then look how he has changed and transformed himself, especially with the upper body strength and those chest muscles. Because of that, he feels that he's got a lot of speed in him, and that's the reason why he's been going into those freestyle races as well, 50 and 100.
Exactly, right. He's not just doing the butterfly events anymore, and I think at some point maybe, I mean, he even mentioned maybe doing the 200 meter individual medley, which I think he'll be amazing at as well, right? So definitely focusing more on the sprint events, given how his body has changed.
Oh, my clothes are over there. It's like a page.
So that's what happens when you're an Olympic champion. People are trying to nick your clothes. And that's what Joe has to deal with. It's not just in Singapore. I remember being there in Rio when he won. The broadcasters all around Southeast Asia, including the Malaysians and the Thais, were actually cheering him on to victory. As I said, that victory is not just for Singapore. Sometimes we tend to forget in the moments that you're so excited with it. For that first ever, but that victory was for all of Southeast Asia as well, because Joe was winning in swimming, and it proved to Southeast Asia that the swimmers from this region can live and beat people from your normal powerhouses like America, South Africa, Australia. And that race really signaled the start of a lot of aspirations from Southeast Asian people.
I think so, and I think the Singapore Swimming Association has done a great job in terms of, you know, bringing people on board, not just coaches, but, you know, we're talking about biomechanists, we're talking about nutritionists, psychologists, and I think a lot of those were, you know, weren't available to a lot of Southeast Asian swimmers in the past, but everyone is beginning to realize how important, you know, these different aspects outside of the pool is, and I'm glad that, you know, Singapore has taken the first step towards doing that among all the other Southeast Asian countries, and we're seeing it paying big dividends right now.
You didn't have it during your time, did you?
Definitely not, right? No, I think after training back then, I was having your mee pok, your pratas, whereas now I think that's going to be highly frowned upon, right?
Well, Joe is someone who actually trains very, very hard off the pool, and a lot of times it is a very thin line that you have to draw there as well, because with the training sometimes we've seen a lot of swimmers go the other way, and that is the way of injuries, because it's how much your body can take as well. So you look at someone like an Adam Peaty, for example. That guy can train in the gym for hours because his body can take all that punishment, as opposed to another swimmer who goes in for a couple of hours and then the next thing you know, the back snaps, and he's never been able to record the same times as he'd done all over through the years before that.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think each swimmer has to do what's best for him, the person himself, right? And obviously you have the coaches there. And now, in the past, it used to be just swim coaches doing the dry land at the same time, but now it's no longer the case, right? You actually have professional personal trainers that, are well versed in sports that are taking you on the dry land. It's no longer just a swimming coach that does it, right? So you get a lot of experts in that field as well that's coaching you, and what's best, how do you translate your power on land to being powerful in the water. It's totally different, right?
Well, that was one of two races, the 50 meters butterfly that went exactly according to plan and script. The other one was the 400 meters freestyle, of which the victory ceremony is coming up in a while. We still have one more race to go, and that is the 4x100 meters freestyle. Singapore hot favorites for that. They've won 12 of the previous 28 editions in the 4x100 for women. 3 of the last 4 editions have gone to Singapore as well. In fact, in the last 12 editions, Singapore and Thailand have shared the gold medal, and only Indonesia have come in between them during that period of time in the 4x100 meters freestyle. We can confirm with you the 4 Singapore girls who'll be swimming. Nguyen Quah, Amanda Lim, the 2 of them to start off. Natasha Ong as a third leg swimmer, and Nguyen Quah already a gold medalist at these games to take it home, hopefully for her second goal.
Very interesting strategy that Singapore is putting in, right? With the 2 most senior swimmers going in first and second, and the more junior swimmers going in third and fourth. So we'll see how that plays out, but obviously the coaches have a lot of faith and trust in Natasha and Zheng Wen, allowing them to go third and fourth. So there's a lot of pressure on them, but I'm sure they've been trained well enough from a psychological point of view to be able to handle that pressure there.
So shots of the winners thus far, schooling being one of them, and the 100 meters butterfly as well. It's another race where everyone is going for second. But as I was saying earlier on, whenever you win the Olympics, that target board's behind you, and everybody just wants to do a number on you so that they can tell their grandchildren about that night where they beat an Olympic champion. I don't see it happening here. But well, Gerald, that target board can sometimes lead to a lot of pressure for Joe.
I think so. I think it will, but from the competitor's point of view, it could go both ways, right? I mean, some people might be saying, look, I'm never going to beat Joe, so maybe I should look for a different event. I should try something else, right? Or it could be, okay, look, Joe's Olympic champion, I want to beat him. So it's always interesting to see how swimmers react to such a development.
It's going to happen in this event as well, the 400 meters freestyle. If Wilson Sim continues dominating the way it is, the hegemony that he is actually taking in the 400 meters freestyle, a lot of people are also going to go, if Wilson's swimming in it, I'm not going to be swimming in it. I think so,
exactly. And the 400 meter freestyle is something that we've seen Asian swimmers do really well, right? Obviously, we've got Sun Yang, who's the national champion. We've got the Park, who was previously the champion from Korea as well. So it's a country that Asia has surprisingly done really well in. So maybe we could see Wilson be the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's not forget as well the Japanese Kosuke Hagino. He's another one who has done very well in this event too. So you're absolutely right. The Asians have dominated this event for quite some time already, since the turn of the century. And Wilson will really want to be part of the mix. But that victory earlier this year and Monte Carlo against Matt Horton of Australia, that must give him a lot of confidence. I mean, to beat an Olympic champion, well, that must, that's something that he can take with him for the rest of his life.
Definitely, and I think it pushed him really hard as well. I mean, if you think about it, I don't think that was a race that he was fully tapered for, given that he's probably had the World Championships and he's got the SEA Games to participate in. So that was maybe a race that he rested for, but he didn't taper taper for, but you still saw that he did his best time. He broke a national record, 3:49, faster than what he did here. So I think maybe he might be a little bit disappointed with today's race, given that that was a race that he wasn't fully prepared for, but still did 3:49. And it could be from the competition, like you said, right? Then in that race, he was racing Mac Horton, right?
Yep.
Who's the world champion. So that gave him a lot of motivation to go a lot quicker in that race.
Well, then again, with someone like Welson Sim, other people, if you told them that they're going to do 350, they would shake your hand and take it immediately. For Welson Sim, it's like 350. What a horrible time that is, 350, because he's been clocking those times and have been absolutely crazy over the last couple of years. As I said, it all started in Singapore, of course, not just the SEA Games, then the year after when he swam in the national age group champs and qualified with an A qualifying time for the Olympic Games. Then he lowered the national record of the Olympic Games and then lowered the national record again in Monte Carlo. So he lowered the national record 3 times in the space of 12 months.
He looks like he has the height for it as well. Look at him. I mean, he's a lot taller than the other 2 competitors. So very much following the style of Sun Yang, right? Fairly tall, slender, skinny for a long-distance swimmer. And again, we talked about Joe's body earlier, how he's bulked up a lot, and that's why he's focusing more on the shorter sprint events given the power that he's had. And you can see that Welson is a little bit skinnier, taller, very slender, his body a lot more suited towards the longer distance where power is not as necessary.
I was about to say, I hope we get to see shots of Welson and his swim again, because there are some similarities with Sun Yang's swim and that high vertical catch of his, and hopefully that we can watch it all over again. But it's never too bad, isn't it, to actually follow suit of Sun Yang's swimming style. That is probably the premier middle to long distance swimming style that you can copy in the world of swimming today. So Malaysia's first of hopefully 3 gold medals from Welson Sim comes in day 1 of competition, a day where only Singapore have been multi-medalist, multi-gold medalist, I should say. Big moment for Malaysia. It's 5 in a row in this event now for the Malaysians, who won 3 golds at the last SEA Games, and they've certainly got off to a great start here.
Bronze medalist,
Khairi Jamaluddin,
Vietnam.
perfect person to give out the medals. It's been a good day for Vietnam as well.
With a time of 3 minutes 54.
In every race, they have been on the podium. And this boy, I know we're going to do the 1500 meters freestyle in a couple of days' time. Really, Gerald should have an eye out on this boy. He's young, and he looks to be the next big star from Vietnam, Nguyen Kim Son, who has lowered his very own national record in the 1500 meters freestyle. And I saw that swim. It was very, very impressive. If he takes that form, Welton might have some problems in that 1500 race. Adla Prawira, who has been clocking very good times this year, including a new national record, wins the silver medal. So this race went according to form, with the gold medalist and a new SEA Games record belonging to Welson Sim, the first swimmer since Thorlap Setsoton to defend his SEA Games crown. Thorlap did it in 95 and 97. And Welson Sim hopes to start the Sim dynasty in the 400 meters freestyle. The biggest win streak, Tan Tuan Heng, William Wilson and Jeffrey Ong, who won this event 4 times in a row. And if he continues his development 4 times in a row, should be thereabouts in the near future. In 2021, that might just come true for Welson Sim.
29 SEA Games medalists for the 400 meters freestyle men.
The Malaysian record holder, the SEA Games record holder, Wilson Sim. The defending champion defends. The surprise in this event, Gerald, was Nguyen Quah, one of the big swimmers in Southeast Asia over the past couple of SEA Games. In fact, since the turn of the decade, not even making it for his events today. Looking, of course, at this event, and I think the 50 meters butterfly as well, where he didn't make the finals. Both events he lost out on in the heat, so might be a loss of form in terms of Quah.
I think some people, are a little bit overconfident in the heat. That could have, that's usually the case, right? Especially for someone that's as big name as him that misses out on making the final. They think that they can just easily stroll into the finals, and usually that is the case. But I think he maybe misjudged it a little bit this morning in terms of timing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was actually calling on the heats this morning in the 400 meters freestyle. It's almost as if someone told him it was 200, because he went burning out for the first 200, and the next thing you know, the swimmers were catching up on him and overtaking him for fun, and he missed out on the finals altogether. But anyway, even if he was in the final, he wouldn't have caught this boy. I mean, there was no one who was close enough in the field to catch Wilson. And you were saying that you were so surprised that he actually took it out so strong in the first 50 meters, first 100 actually.
I was, but I think he just wanted to make a statement, right? Just take it out there and see if he can hang on. I think he's obviously the best in Southeast Asia in this race. He knows what he's doing, and that's usually how he runs his races, right? I mean, he goes out fast. On the other hand, we saw Zheng Wen that does it the other way around. He typically holds back a little bit, tries to negative split his races, where his second half of the race is much faster than the first half. So I think each swimmer typically has their own style of swimming this race. The way that Wilson does it is obviously a lot more painful in the way that he takes it out, right? But that typically was how you saw a lot of the Australian great distance swimmers used to do it. Like when you talk about Ian Top, Grant Hackett, if you look back at their races, 400 meter races, they always took it out in the first 100, right? They were way ahead of everybody else, and they just tried to hold on, which they typically could do.
Yep. Someone like Sun Young is going the other way around, of course, because he is probably the fastest in terms of the final 50 meters freestyle in a 400 or 1500 race that you've ever seen in the world. But Wilson Sim has started out strong, and you've swum in front of a home crowd before, back in 1993 in Singapore. How much of that actually gives you that adrenaline? So sometimes it goes out of your window, the form goes out of your window. You're saying, I'm not going to go fast in the first 50, but because of the crowd pumping you up, and then you go in the pool, and the next thing you lose your mind.
You do, right? I mean, but I guess that's why you train, and that's why you have coaches there, you have psychologists there. You're mentally prepared for it. You know what to expect. We train for over 2 years, 10 times a week for a race like this. You don't want to have the nerves or the adrenaline to take you out of your game, right? You have a strategy. You work towards your strength, whether it's to go out fast or come back fast. You have your own strategy, and you must make sure that you stick to it, despite what's going on with the crowd.
Well, let's see if we can listen into what Wilson has to say about that gold medal.
Fantastic swim from everyone. I can see everyone is breaking their own national record. This coming from 3, Vietnam, Singapore and Indonesia. It's awesome swim, very good. Everyone is pushing each other very hard, and also for me, I went out faster than I normally do. Maybe I was nervous at first, but yeah, I managed to get a goal. Yeah, it's very good.
On the catatan, you rasa this one better, or you can do much more better?
This is already my best. As I said, I was nervous, so maybe I can go faster if I got someone to race with me at the last 100 or the last 200. Yeah, someone to race with it would be better. Yeah.
So apa target next?
My next target, actually tomorrow got 4x1 freestyle, and Malaysia will try our best to get a medal for Malaysia. And after that, I got 200 meter individual on Wednesday. Yeah, hopefully another gold medal.
Listen, after schooling berjaya memastikan title world champion dari itu kan, so daripada apa yang dia dah dapat tu, ada tak you borak dengan dia?
Ladies and gentlemen, the victory ceremony for event 104, 100 meters backstroke women. Please welcome to the podium the medalists.
So we're just in time for the 100 meters backstroke for women. Race which is mere consolation for Nguyen little makeup session for missing out on the 200 meters butterfly goal. Well, what we suspected probably came through after she missed out on it in the 200 meters butterfly against Quah when she certainly saved herself for the final 50 meters, allowed the rest to catch up with her, finished in 4th position so that she had enough gas coming into the 100 meters backstroke. But this lady is a real phenom, I can tell you. You look at her, Gerald, she doesn't have a weak stroke, and that's the reason why she's so strong in the individual medley.
Exactly. But sometimes I think she might be better off focusing on a few events rather than doing everything that she does now. I mean, obviously she's young, but as she gets older, you know, the recovery time takes a little bit longer. For her to swim 2 to 3 events a day is not going to be easy if you're considering the heat. And even in the bigger competitions, whether it's Asian Games or Olympics, then she's got to do the semi-finals, and then she's got to do the finals 12 times, right? There's a lot of events that she needs to be swimming. So sometimes I think she might be a little bit better off focusing on a few strokes rather than doing everything that she wants to swim in.
Pitya Patramadi, who needs to get herself all set and ready because she is swimming in the relays coming up in a while, the 4x100 meters freestyle relay for Thailand. Another bronze medal for her, a 2013 gold medal, will live in her memory for a long, long time. Piangkwan Pao Patako with the bronze medal in the backstroke. She switches from the breaststroke to the back. And then Indonesia's very own Nurul Fajar Fitriati, 5th at the 2013 SEA Games, now a silver medalist. It's recognition of how much she has improved and how the times have dropped through the years. That, by the way, Indonesia's 410th medal in swimming at the SEA Games.
Your gold medalist and SEA Games champion with a time of 1 minute, 1.89 seconds from Vietnam, represented by Nguyen.
I just want to put things in perspective here, Gerald, because Vietnam, since they competed as Vietnam, have won 21 gold medals in swimming as a country, and she has won 12 of those 21. Let's just put things in perspective here, what this lady has achieved.
That's amazing. I wasn't aware of that stat, but I mean, that shows, I mean, she's pretty much the queen, right, of swimming. And hopefully that brings up the level of swimming in the sport. And I think we've slowly seen that, like in the 200-meter butterfly, she didn't win the race, but, you know, another one of her swimmers in the country came in second.
Nguyen Vien for the very first time. She's usually so emotionless after victories. So I said during the heats this morning, if you had just walked in the venue and you watch her walk out of the pool, you wouldn't have realized that she would have won her 8th or 9th gold medals at the games, because she has got very little emotion on her face. But that time we saw a little bit of a twitch. I think this means a lot to her coming into these games. She faced a lot of pressure. I can tell you this, after her achievements at the last SEA Games, I think the last SEA Games, a lot of people were looking at the Singapore swimmers, the Indonesian swimmers challenging the Singapore swimmers, and then she was the real star in terms of women's swimming at the last SEA Games. And this, she comes in here as the main target. So the coach has admitted coming into these SEA Games that Nguyen Vien actually felt a lot of pressure. It probably told in the 200 meters butterfly, but winning this gold medal and this event, an event she's never won gold before, maybe that's the reason why you just saw a little bit of emotion actually etching on her face.
Exactly, right? I mean, I think after the race, I was surprised to see that she looked like she was about to cry, right? It's surprising given how many gold medals she's won that she's still so emotional. And I think it will take a lot of pressure off her now that she's won the first one, and hopefully she'll do a lot better for the next few ones.
Well, she went into this race having lost the 200 fly. It's her second of 2 individual events, but that start that she had was absolutely perfect, and that's the emotion that you're talking about, Gerald. How she felt it turning into smiles now after the victory ceremony. But Nguyen Vien actually started out with her favorite stroke as the backstroke, but through the years, in order to actually focus on the medley, she started trying to compete in more events, and the breaststroke, and then the freestyle, and then the butterfly. And now she's coming back almost full circle to an event that she had forsaken at the last SEA Games, and she's going home with her first gold medal. And I believe that is a gold medal in her 8th different events at the SEA Games.
Okay.
Vietnamese media swarming all over her. They call her the Little Mermaid back in Vietnam. She probably is the mermaid with the most lungs that we've ever seen. The Viet vessel strikes yet again at the SEA Games for her 12th gold medal. One more to make it 20 medals in all. And that'll come tomorrow because she has a packed schedule for these games. So we're all set and ready to go. Joe Schooling's gold medal win. And the victory ceremony still to come. But they've cleared the pool deck in order for the ladies to appear in the final event of the evening. And that is the 400 meters freestyle relay. Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand and the Philippines go in lanes 2 to 7. Those are your lane assignments. And remember, since 1999, only Singapore and Thailand have won this event, with Singapore winning 12 of 28 editions of this event. They are the defending champions. But they have a SEA Games record to beat as well, which they set in 2009. 3:45.73. That was a crack team, I remember. Mylene, Lynette, Tingwen and Amanda. Only Tingwen and Amanda remain in this team. They are both the swim captains for the women's team, Tingwen and Amanda, and they'll be the first 2 swimmers to go for Singapore. So out come the swimmers, Indonesia, then the Malaysians, led by their national champion, Koh Tiai. She'll be the first swimmer. Singapore have got Tingwen as their first swimmer. 56.16, her fastest time this year. Vietnam led by Ngoc Thuy Q. Thailand led by Sapian Chai, and the Philippines will be led by Nicole Oliver, with their national record holder Jasmine Alcaldi swimming in their final leg. Well, here we go with the Indonesians, led by Resa Dewi. Sagita Putri goes in lane number ankle leg number 2. Adinda goes as leg number 3, and Patricia Yosita is in leg number 4. Indonesians are in lane 2. The Malaysians, led by Kotiai, the Malaysian Open champion with a time of 58.85 seconds. Well, actually, it's the fastest Malaysian. She was 3rd at the Malaysian Open. Then in second leg, Ajalia. Elin Tan goes in leg 3, and Heidi Gan in 4. The defending champions in Singapore in lane number 4. 2 new swimmers in the quartet, and they are the final 2 swimmers, which is Natasha Ong and Quah Zheng Wen. Our first sight, though, of Ting Wen in that race, and our first sight of Ting Wen at these games. Vietnam in 5, led by Ngoc Thi Quiu, and then Leti Mi Tao, who's already won a silver medal in the 200 meters butterfly. Thi Phong An Vu and Nguyen Diep Phong Ton will finish the Vietnamese off as the 4th leg swimmer. Thailand, Pongkajana Sapianchai, leg number 1. Janjira Sri Saad, leg number 2. Titia Patrawadi, who has already won a medal. And Nathanan Jongkrajang, very famous Nathanan, Thailand's most successful female swimmer at the SEA Games. She's in 4. Philippines in lane number 7, led by Nicole Oliver, Lipad Maria, and Nicole Mia, and finally, of course, a lady they are hoping would end their 24-year drought to this year in the 100 meters freestyle, Jasmine Al-Khaldi, the national record holder, the 4th leg swimmer. So, Gerald, looking forward to this. I think that, I know it's an individual event, swimming, but you can never ever tell these swimmers, they always look forward to relays.
Everyone does, right? I mean, typically most swimmers do better in a relay than they do in an individual race, just because you're swimming not just for yourself, but you're swimming for your teammates as well. But you know what was interesting was I looked at the 2 little younger girls in the Singapore swim team, and they walked out there with a lot of confidence. They looked like they were having fun. They didn't look like they were overwhelmed or they were a little afraid as well. So I think that should be quite a good showing that we should expect in this race.
They're in lane number 4, remember, Singapore, and it's Quah Zheng Wen who takes off. She's got a personal best time of 55.52 seconds. Her best this year, 56.16. And Indonesia have got Sugiata Aresa Dewi as their first leg swimmer. The Malaysians with Tiai, Vietnam with Ngoc Thi Quiu, and Thailand with Sapianchai, and Philippines in lane number 7 with Nicole Olivia. But straight away, Quah Zheng Wen in a usual style takes it out very quickly. She swims the 100 meters freestyle this way, always taking it out very strong in the first 50, and then cruising home for the 2nd leg swimmer.
We saw her again, right? She's like her brother. She's got very good underwaters, and we saw that she used the 15 meters again with her butterfly kick underwater, and off the turns again as well. Using her advantage underwater to her best use.
Well, Resa Dewi trying her very best to live with it. Sapianchai of Thailand as well, slowly catching up on Ting Wen, who'll hand it over to Amanda, who's got a personal best time of 56.40 seconds and a personal best time this year of 56.89. 0.52 seconds ahead of the Thais and 1.42 seconds ahead of Indonesia. Amanda, who is a 50 meters freestyle specialist, so her strokes are a little more choppy, a little more aggressive than that of Quah Zheng Wen.
I think Amanda is more of a sprinter, so that's why you see her strokes a little bit choppier, because she's a pure sprinter, right? So she's a lot better. I mean, she's a defending champion or one of the champions in the 50 meter freestyle, but 100 meters she's also pretty good with her speed, being able to bring her speed into the 2nd lap as well. But I think it's no surprise that we see Singapore in the lead right now, given that we put our 2 fastest swimmers going 1-2. So hopefully we'll see the younger ones, the next generation of younger swimmers, hang on in the 3rd and 4th place.
Well, she is not just hanging on at the moment, Amanda. She stretched the lead against Janjira Srisad, who is Thailand's 2nd fastest 100 meters freestyle swimmer this year, but she's fast tiring now as Janjira slowly catches up. And what a moment this is for Natasha Ong. Her personal best was set this year at the national championships of 57.10 seconds, and she is in the pool, and chasing her will be Katia Patrawadi of Thailand.
I think obviously it's going to be a lot of pressure on Natasha, right? This being her first race, and Singapore is being a defending champion, but at least she's in the lead. She got a good lead from Amanda, so let's hope she maintains her speed throughout this race.
Well, they're going to hand it over to Nathanan Jongkrajang, and of course Natasha's going to hand it over to an already gold medalist, Quah Wen, for the final leg. But Singapore with a body length and a half lead over Thailand. Indonesia in third spot at the moment. Those positions haven't changed from the first leg swimmer. Natasha's done extremely well, I have to say. Not just holding on to that lead, I think she stretched it a little bit as well against Kitia Patrawadi, so she's given Zheng Wen a healthy enough lead to take home for the final leg.
I think so. I think she did really, really well. She really extended that lead as well, so very good swim for her for her first SEA Games.
Natanan Jongkrajang, Thailand's premier sprinter in the freestyle, is in the water against Quah Wen. The good news for Singapore, though, is that Quah Wen's got a better personal best time this year than Natanan, who finished second at the Malaysian Open with a time of 57.41 seconds, but Quah Wen's got a PB this year of 56.47 seconds. So she has been in good form from the Commonwealth Youth Games all the way here into the SEA Games, as she showed already in the 200 meters butterfly, and yet again a brilliant turn off the wall by Zheng Wen.
Yeah, amazing swim by Zheng Wen. Look, and if you look at her style, she's got this galloping kind of style where she, you know, it's very much because she breathes to one side only. She breathes on the right side, so you see she's got this galloping strokes that a lot of sprinters do, a lot of freestyle sprinters do when they tend to favor one side.
Look at the time as well. They might crack the record. Yes, it's a new SEA Games record for Singapore. The record was set in 2009. We thought that was an awesome foursome, but this quartet, it's a younger quartet, and the regeneration of Singapore female swimming has started as well. All because the two young swimmers taking it home are there. They showed up, and they showed up big time. We're talking Natasha and Quah Wen.
Well done, very, very good swim. I mean, let's see how happy they are.
A new SEA Games record also means a new national record. Well, it was set in 2009, and you thought that team, I mean, Mylene, Amanda, Zheng Wen, Lynette, how are you going to break that record? Well, Zheng Wen and Amanda are still around, but part two of the Singapore female quartet has arrived. The sequel featuring Natasha Ong and Quah Wen. Not just the sequel, bigger and better.
That's so good to see, right? I mean, the next generation of swimmers, they have done so well. That's always very interesting to see. I think in swimming what we've seen is that there's always been cycles where Thailand used to be really good. They used to win it, and they have not been able to sustain that over the past couple of SEA Games, right? So I think with this, where we are seeing the next generation of swimmers coming up and really holding their own, hopefully it means that, you know, you'll see Singapore swimming on the top for quite a few years.
I did mention Quah Wen and Amanda as captains of the female swim team as well, because we have to give credit for that. You were mentioning earlier on how Zheng Wen and then the younger girls like Unti and Natasha, they've looked so relaxed, and a lot of it's down as well to those team captains like Amanda and Zheng Wen, just spreading the experience and telling them all about the SEA Games and telling them all to relax themselves before the start of the games and to enjoy themselves.
Of course, I mean, this is Natasha's first SEA Games. It's Zheng Wen's only her second SEA Games, right? So naturally you would expect them to come out being very nervous, but you're absolutely right. I mean, with Amanda and with Zheng Wen there, you know, they've been to so many SEA Games, they've been to a lot bigger competitions. They're obviously very, very close. They train together. I mean, they have a lot of discussions together. You know, they impart their experience and what to expect, what not to do. So I think it's always good having like an older sister within that team. And obviously, I mean, it's really, you know, Zheng Wen's got an older sister in the team, right?
Absolutely right. The male captains as well, Joseph Schooling and Pang Sheng-jun, are doing the job. As we have a listen into the interview now to the quartet who have clinched gold for the 4x100 meters freestyle relay for women. The team of Amanda, Natasha, Zheng Wen and Zheng Wen, the two sisters side by side, and Amanda to the right of your screen. They're getting ready to answer the questions from the media, of which there have been a lot of interest, especially with the two sisters side by side together. It was bookended by the Quah sisters that swim. And here we go. Let's see. The first question probably fielded to Zheng Wen, who wins her second gold medal on this, just the first night of competition.
What was it like out there, and how does it feel right now?
What do you feel? The atmosphere was like super exciting, and it was like the adrenaline was like pumping. I was just like so excited to just like jump in and race. Yeah.
I can imagine. I mean, how How about you, Zheng Wen? Like, how did you find it up there?
I just felt amazing, like racing with my team members. Like we have such a close bond and we race together. It's just rather just go out there and do our best, and it's really fun. Yeah.
Even that Singapore usually wins all the relay medals for the women, you feel like this is the first one out of the way and you're comfortable with going to win all the relay goals.
I think the relays always been very important for our team. I mean, all events are important, but I think we hold a special the relay holds a special place in our hearts. We are very proud of it. We're very proud of trying to dominate as many relays as possible. We tell people that, people know that swimming is an individual sport, but so relays actually, it's a time when swimming becomes the closest to a team sport as any. So it's fun, you're sharing the experience with 3 other people, sorry. So it's fun, it's exciting.
You don't just be aiming to break the game record.
She was actually the one who found out, right?
Yeah, actually she was the one who found out. Like, we didn't have the games record in our mind at all. We just wanted to go out there and just race as hard because it's a very new team. Ting and I has been on a team for a while, but we don't have them in our team before, so we want to go out there and have fun. And then she was like, oh, we want to games record, and we were like, oh my god! And we were like, oh, we're so happy. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, it's also the national record. Really? I think so.
If I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah.
And then that was like the suit time also.
Yeah, it shows a lot that now we are all going faster than the super suits in like 09. So we just hope that we can go up with her.
You can really talk a bit about Zheng's performance in the 200 fly. She's won the first individual goal.
Yeah. My brother and I were actually talking about it. Someone actually said that he's happy that the 200 fly was Zheng Wen's first goal here at the meet. I think this event has always been an interesting one for her just because she trains a lot for it. It just hasn't really shown, the training hasn't really shown in her races until this year, and it's just really come to fruition, and I'm very proud. I was actually in the stands watching it, and I think I didn't have to warm up so much because I got my heart rate was very high, and I was very warm after watching my brother and I race. And just proud of her. I think she's mentioned it a few times that a lot of people like to compare all 3 of us, and she hasn't really talked about how she's not affected by it. I think she's not very vocal about how she feels about being compared, but I think this year she's really stepped up and shown that she's an individual and a swimmer on her own and shouldn't be compared to anyone at all, because she's Zheng.
We have some questions for you. In the 3 of you want to learn
So the end of the interview for Amanda, Natasha and Zheng Wen. But Zheng Wen will be facing more questions, and we will be back with a victory ceremony for this race as well as the 50 meters butterfly for men.
meters butterfly men. Please welcome to the podium the medalists. The medals will be presented by Ms. Grace Fu, Minister of Culture, Community and Youth of
Back
Singapore.
just in time for the victory ceremony and to see Joe Schooling win and collect his 12th individual gold medal.
Of Indonesia.
This in the 50 meters butterfly race. I can also tell you that this is 10 individual races without losses at the SEA Games for Joe Schooling. That's the longest winning streak since Ratapong Srisanot did it in 1997 when that winning streak was broken. So it's 10 in a row now. The last person to beat Joe was a certain Keaton Nutapong in 2011 in the 200 meters individual medley. That was the last time he was beaten. 2013, 2015, and now into 2017, 10 races in a row, and he's won all 10 of them at this level where he is incomparable.
I'm sure he can keep that streak going on for a lot longer if he decides to swim more events, right? But I mean, he's only swimming 3 individual events and 3 relays at this SEA Games. So I mean, I think he's moved on to the next level. I mean, for the SEA Games, I mean, it's better now that he's letting the younger generation of swimmers take part, and then he's going to focus more on the Asian world level stage.
Well, for this guy, for his first SEA Games, it isn't too bad, isn't it? 2 bronze medals in the 50 meters backstroke and the 50 meters butterfly. Paul Nguyen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's obviously a pure sprinter, being able to do a few different strokes, like you mentioned. He's doing the 50 meters for butterfly, backstroke, and freestyle. The only one he's missing out is the breaststroke. So quite interesting. We could see him obviously for the next few SEA Games coming on as well.
So that's a bronze for him in what has been a very good 2 years in the swimming career of this Vietnamese American Paul Nguyen.
Silver medalist.
Triadi Fauzi, the Indonesians, thought that he might upset the odds here against Joe Schooling, especially after the heats where he was pretty close to Joe. What they forgot was Joe was in gear 0.5 and not even trying in the heats. And it was clear this race was won from the blocks, you have to say. And off the blocks, I mean, we talk about reaction times. Whenever I look at reaction times at things like the Olympic Games and World Championships, Joe Schooling is probably, for my money, the quickest in terms of reaction times off the blocks in the world.
Definitely, yes. I mean, if you look at the Olympic Games where he won the gold medal, he had the fastest reaction time, I believe, in the semi-finals and the finals, right? I mean, it was like, I think 0.6, 0.61. So that's a lot quicker than most people are.
As I haven't seen anyone react, even at the Asian Games as well, 0.66 seconds. And in the final of the 100 meters butterfly, I remember it was 0.58, something like that. You know, it was below 0.6. It was absolutely insane. Or in his own words, it was absolutely sick. Joe Schooling with his 12th gold medal, and with this, he now moves into 4th spot on the all-time list of gold medal winners for males at the SEA Games. He's overtaken William Wilson and now joins Eric Buhine with 12 gold medals. Buhine just ahead of him in terms of 2 silvers, just a silver medal ahead of him. But the dozen for Joe and the second of the night for Singapore. A SEA Games record. His father Colin in the crowd. Mum there too, May, with him every event. And a lot of it's right down to that, isn't it, Gerald? It's parental support. We all know the story of the Schoolings, and especially Joe Schooling, the sacrifice of the parents. From a young age, when he said he wanted to become an Olympic champion, Dad Colin and Mum May just made all the sacrifices in the world, went all over the world, got out of their comfort zones. And when you go to America, it's not a small country. They actually took almost a year off to find the best school for him, the best coach for him. So he is totally indebted to them and what they have done, almost giving up 10 years of their lives in order for his pursuit of that Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they sacrificed a lot, right? And that's why he's so grateful for what they've done. Swimming isn't an individual. I mean, people talk about swimming being an individual sport, but I think what people don't realize is how much goes into getting that gold medal, right? I mean, his parents, to set him away when he was so young and then having to take the time off, I think they probably spent a lot of time away from one another as well, right? I mean, dad and mom taking turns flying to the US and flying back here again, so not being able to spend family time as much as they would have liked. So definitely a lot of sacrifices that had to come in place to get the gold medal.
Absolutely right. I mean, the moment he won the gold medal, the first thing I remember just talking about was it was not just Team Singapore's gold medal, it was Team Schooling, because it was such a team effort. And when you talk to the parents, they would tell you that every step of the way they got Joe involved in every single thing, as he is being spoken to yet again. Everyone wants a piece of Joseph Schooling, and he had that spitfire going from the moment he took off the blocks, and after that breakout there was only going to be one winner. It's a familiar pose and a familiar position on the podium already for Joseph Isaac Schooling. So you're talking about him taking a break, and then of course
to come back to
can hear what he's trying to say now.
My country and my family and my fans. So I'm very happy right now, and on to the next one.
You won the biggest event in the world, and now to compete in the SEA Games. Do you feel the same passion?
Yeah, of course. Whenever you don the red and white, it's very important. You got to do 100% each time you jump in for Singapore, and that's what I gave tonight. And I'm pleased with my performance and the way it felt. And hopefully I can keep the ball rolling and get better day by day.
Okay, last thing. What do you think you can improve better after going to train in America?
I mean, just get stronger and get faster. That's all you can do. The gauge of how well you do or how much better you get by times. And I went half a second faster from 2 years ago, and so I'm moving in the right direction.
So do you have exactly number medal targets in this SEA Games?
Hopefully I can win all my events, 6 events. That's the goal for me.
Thank you.
You hardly get that at the SEA Games, isn't it?
Thank you.
Usually it's your own local media who want to talk to you after you win, but even if he didn't win, every media, that was the Vietnamese media interviewing Joe Schooling, but every media wanting to get a piece of Joseph Schooling.
Of course, I mean, like you said earlier, right? I mean, how many he's the only only Olympic gold medalist we have in Southeast Asia in a core sport like swimming, right? So it's amazing what he's done.
And let's not forget his other races, and he's got the 4x100 meters freestyle tomorrow, and that is a cracked Singapore team. I tell you, it'll take something for any team to actually beat Singapore in that. All they can hope for is pray for divine intervention or disqualification, either one of the Ds. Otherwise, Singapore, it's almost a nap shot for that gold medal. Schooling's inside, Zheng Wen's inside, that is going to be some team, and really it'll take a monumental effort from any country to beat them.
I think that team has the potential to final at the Olympics, right? I mean, that's amazing. No one would have thought that would have been possible 10, 20 years ago, right? They'll be the first Southeast Asian country to actually final at the Olympics, and I think they have a very, very strong opportunity to do so.
Absolutely, and not just the 4x100 meters freestyle. We're looking at the 4x100 meters medley as well. It's just something that we'll be talking about more and more, especially tomorrow when the 200 meters breaststroke is on. We are just, I feel, one breaststroke shy of qualifying for that Olympic final in the 4x100 meters.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've never really had a breaststroker who's been very strong. I mean, they've always gotten medals at the SEA Games, but I think not at a level that enabled them, the relay team, to go on to be at the world level or Asian level. But I think now we've got Lionel, who's been very strong. He's obviously in the 100 and 200 breaststroke going to be one of the favorites to win a gold medal.
Yep, he is one of the favorites, but he'll face some stiff opposition in the form of Gede Nuttapong. Tomorrow, the men's 200 meters breaststroke. We also have the 200 meters backstroke for women to start things off, and then the 50 meters breaststroke for women happens tomorrow too. Roanne Ho will be hot favorites for that, so we're hoping for her repeat of 2015. The 200 meters butterfly for men, a huge opportunity for Zheng Wen to get over the disappointment of losing in the 50 meters backstroke earlier on today. The 400 meters freestyle for women is off tomorrow, and Joe will swim in the 4x100 meters freestyle, where he, of course, in the 100 meters freestyle qualified for the semi-finals of the Olympic Games. So huge congratulations going out to the rest of the team. The girls getting ready now to collect their very own gold medal and their very own freestyle relay. So you're looking forward to tomorrow's races, Gerald, especially the 200 fly with Zheng Wen?
Absolutely. I mean, today is just the first day, right? Usually people don't know what to expect. I mean, but once the first day is done and dusted, I think people get in the momentum. You know, we're going to see some very, very fast swims for the next few days. So I think Zheng Wen, 200 meter butterfly, that's his main event. So we'll see how he goes. Hopefully he does really well. Could see a SEA Games record in that event.
Well, and we're talking about Lionel as well going. In fact, his cousin is swimming inside as well, Samuel Koo. So both Lionel and Samuel perhaps going in the 200 meters breaststroke for men tomorrow. Might have a shout at the gold medal, although it's a far-fetched one because Gede Nuttapong has been clocking very, very insane times in all of 2017. But you know what? If they do win a gold medal, if Lionel does win a gold medal, it'll be the first ever gold medal won by a Singaporean in any breaststroke event for men's.
Wow, okay.
Not the first.
200 meter breaststroke, first time.
200 meters, yeah, that's right. Just the second. Nguyen actually won a gold medal in the 100 meters breaststroke.
Right, that's right.
Yeah. But in the 200 meters breaststroke, no Singaporean, even right down to 1959, has won a gold medal at the SEA Games. So Lionel's got history on his side.
Yeah, no pressure there.
The 400 meters freestyle for women will also take place tomorrow, and of course we were talking earlier on about the 4x100 meters freestyle for men, who will be gunning after the SEA Games record. And really, to put a marker down, they perhaps will be looking out at the Asian record pretty soon too, and saying, look, if we can crack this, there is a huge chance that we might be able to do something very special next year in Jakarta.
I think so. I mean, it's so impressive how Singapore has produced not one, not two, but four amazing swimmers to form a relay, right? That in the past, you could have won the SEA Games with, you know, maybe two good swimmers and two average swimmers, but the way that they've done it, we'll watch tomorrow's race and you'll see that they'll be miles ahead of the competitors tomorrow, right? So they've pretty much moved now. I mean, I think the team won a bronze at the last Asian Games, right? I think they were fourth, and then Korea might have been disqualified, and then they got a bronze medal, so default bronze medal, but still, who would have thought that would have been possible just 10 years ago? But the team has really come together. I think if they continue swimming together, and the team is very young, right? They're 20, like Joe, Zheng Wen, they're 20, 21 years old, or 21, 22 years old. So they have a long time to train together, and a lot of time to get bigger, stronger, and faster. So I'm really excited about 2020 Olympics, seeing them qualify for that. And I mean, it'll be amazing. Can you imagine them getting into the finals of a relay?
Yeah. I mean, with all the big guns like your USA and Australia, I mean, that will be a sight. And what about this team, the 4x100 meters freestyle for women? It's a brand new team. Of course, Amanda and Tingwen are the older guards there from the 2009 squad, and then Jingwen and Natasha adding to this. Earlier on, they were wondering whether it's a new national record. Yes, it is a new national record, a new SEA Games record too. So, I mean, how about this team, this brand new team in the women's 4x100 meters freestyle as well?
Yeah, they've done well, and I like. I'm not sure if you saw the relay. I mean, the interviews that would happen after the relay, and I like how the two older swimmers actually let the two younger swimmers start the interview first. Right? Obviously, this is their first time participating in the relay and getting a gold medal. So like they said, they train together. They form a really tight bond. They're obviously very tight. They train every day. They spend so many hours together. So it's good that hopefully this team stays together, and we might see great things from them from the Asian Games next year as well.
Yes, the Asian Games will be their next target, as well for a lot of the Indonesian swimmers swimming in front of their home crowd. They were good enough only for bronze this time out. Yet again, gold and silver shared between Singapore and Thailand. It's been this way now for 4 of the last 5 editions of the SEA Games. Well, 5 out of the last 5, I should say. Singapore winning it for the 4th time out of those last 5. The only time they didn't win was the Thais, who took gold in 2013.
Bronze medalist with a time of 3 minutes 50.56 seconds. Representing Indonesia, Resa Kanya Dewi, Sahita Putri Krishnawati, Aditya Larasati Dewi, and Patricia Yosita Asada.
Well, only the first 2 names, the experienced heads in the squad, Risa Dewi and Patricia Yosita. The other 2, Sakita and Adinda, taking part in their very first SEA Games and winning a bronze medal. Minister Grace Fu has been happily very busy at the pool, dishing out those medals. So Indonesia get 3rd, and Thailand once again will have to settle for silver against the Singapore side, which, when they looked at the lineup before the start of the race, the likes of Natanan Jungkrajang must be thinking, this is a good time to beat Singapore. And the regeneration is just about to happen. They've got 2 of the experienced ones there. It might be a good time, but mind you, Gerald, and I think you'll agree with me, the 2 best swims perhaps in that relay came from the 2 youngsters.
I think so, right? I mean, we were talking about how this is Natasha's first time doing a relay, and we actually saw her extend the lead, right, that she received, right? So that was quite a surprise for us, but I mean, obviously the pressure didn't get to her. She was well prepared for the race, so hats off to her.
Yeah, and Zheng Wen kept at it as well against Natanan Jungkrajang. I mean, you're talking about a lady who has almost won every title in terms of the freestyle and has been crowned in 3 of the last 7 editions of 3 of the last 6 editions of the SEA Games. She was crowned the fastest in terms of the 100 meters freestyle. There she is, just receiving the mascot, Natanan Jungkrajang. You come up with a powerhouse like her, and you were not cowed by it. You were not cowed at all. You just maintained it, and the record was yours.
I think we could very possibly see the next star in Zheng Wen, right? I think she could be the star of this SEA Games. She's really got two gold medals. Probably see a few more coming from her.
Well, the 2 sisters might just have to battle out for the gold medal in the 100 meters freestyle in a couple of days' time. Zheng Wen led them off. Amanda continued that lead and stretched it out a bit. Natasha extended it. Zheng Wen maintained it to win her 2nd gold medal of the 29th Southeast Asian Games, to add to the 200 meters butterfly, which she clinched earlier on in the 2nd race of the day. Another gold medal for Amanda Lim. The bulk of them have come in relays. So too for Zheng Wen. The this one will probably taste sweeter than ever because she's got her sister with her in this team.
Yeah, it's always special when you swim with your sibling, right? So I think in one of the SEA Games as well, I swam with my brother in the medley relay. It's always different, right? It's a different feeling when, and for me, I swam the backstroke, he swam the breaststroke, so I passed off the relay to him.
Singapore in the 4x100 meters freestyle relay. 3 gold medals tonight for Team Singapore, 1 for Indonesia and 1 for Malaysia. To talk about your standout race of the day amongst the 350 meters butterfly for Joe, a 4x100 meters freestyle relay, and that 200 meters butterfly for Zheng Wen.
I'll have to go with the last one, Zheng Wen 200-meter butterfly. I think that was the goal that was unexpected. And the way that she walked out, I mean, everything about the race was perfect. From the time that she walked out, she looked like she was having fun, she was having a great time. She was smiling at the camera, she was waving. The way she attacked the race, the first 100, she took it out together with Nguyen, who is so much more experienced. You know, it's so experienced within the swimming circle. And then, you know, her taking off on and then Zheng Wen taking off on the third lap, not being afraid. She just you know, blew away the competition on her third lap. So perfect race.
It certainly was. As we have a look at results all over again, SEA Games records all over the place for every event except for this one, the 200 meters butterfly. But it was such a great race by Quah Zheng Wen, and Nguyen actually gave up on it in the final 50 meters and allowed Leti Mitau and Kitia Patrawali to take over because she was saving herself for the 100 meters backstroke. Wilson Sim of Malaysia with a SEA Games record, coming close to going below 350 yet again for the second time this year. Pang Xingjun tried a final kick in the final 50 but couldn't catch up in time to be on the podium. SEA Games record for Tian Vien, the first Southeast Asian to go below 102 and winning the 100 meters backstroke ahead of Fitriati and Papatako. And then Joe Schooling at SEA Games record and was never in doubt, but we were thinking whether he could crack the Asian record. He didn't, 23.06, but still the only one to go below 24 in what is the most one-sided 50 meters race you'll ever see in SEA Games history. So women's 4x100 meters, a perfect way to end for Singapore, a SEA Games record which they set in 2009, taken down by the team of Tingwen, Jingwen, Natasha and Amanda. Some figures of the races that you've seen today, starting of course with Sudartawa's victory in the 50 meters backstroke. Well, the 100 meters backstroke, this certainly sets up for a wonderful part two between him and Zheng Wen, but sister Jingwen didn't disappoint. The way she judged that race, close to perfection, clocking a personal best time, #1 in Southeast Asia. Of Indonesia, he had hopes against Wilson, or did he? Or were they all fighting for second already? Wilson Sim came out strong and maintained that lead, and that finger wag tells you how dominant he was in that race. And Nguyen Tian Vien, we were wondering what sort of form that she was in, especially after that loss, but she came out very, very big out of the breakout to the 100 meters backstroke, and perhaps the pressure coming off her. And that's the reason why a bit of emotion was shown on the Vietnamese vessel, and she clinched her first gold medal of these games, her 12th. Joseph Schooling came in with all the pomp, and from the get-go, off the blocks, there was only going to be one winner. Perhaps some might say, from the moment they lined up in the call area, there was only going to be one winner. And it was Joseph Isaac Schooling with his 12th individual gold medal at the SEA Games. Remember, it puts him 4th on the all-time list in terms of gold medals won by a male swimmer at the SEA Games alongside Eric Buhain of the Philippines. And the final event, the 4x100 meters freestyle, we were wondering how the two young girls would fare. Well, they didn't do too badly. They just created a new SEA Games record. That's all they did. It's sheer joy for Jingwen and Natasha, joining of course with the veterans Tingwen and Amanda. Great first day of swimming, with Singapore clinching 3 gold medals, and Indonesia, Vietnam and Malaysia winning 1 each. I can tell you that Jingwen still has the 100 meters freestyle, 100 meters butterfly and 200 meters and 400 meters individual medley still to come in what will be a very packed schedule for her. And tomorrow, of course, we will see Quah Zheng Wen in action in the 200 meters butterfly, and Joe again in the 4x100 meters freestyle relay. Join us then.